Chapter 4574. Soon, Kong Shinmu learned one thing. If one used the devouring power to cultivate and support the inheritance, they had to choose opponents with a higher starting point as their targets. For example, the two virtual human geniuses that Kong Shinmu had killed this time were such targets. Kong Shinmu knew that in the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty, those who could reach the heavenly dragon level after awakening the divine dragon inheritance blood for the first time were considered top-notch geniuses. In the entire dragon martial continent, there were countless dragon martial artists who reached the heavenly dragon level at the first awakening. The heavenly dragon level was not divided into 9 levels. Instead, it was divided into beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels. Those who could awaken the heavenly dragon inheritance blood at the first awakening were mostly beginner heavenly dragons. For example, Jiang Liuxue, who had awakened at the same time as Kong Shinmu, belonged to the beginner divine dragon inheritance blood. In the dragon martial continent, there were a few people who reached the intermediate heavenly dragon inheritance blood at the first awakening. These geniuses were likely to become existences like the Dragon Emperor in the future. Their compatibility with the inheritance blood was very likely to be above level 50. There were even fewer people who reached the advanced heavenly dragon after awakening. Such existences were considered top-notch existences in the dragon martial continent. They were only one step away from becoming a divine dragon. In the history of the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty, there were no such geniuses. As for those above that, there were very few who could reach the level of a holy dragon right after awakening, which was extremely rare. Once it appeared, it basically meant the birth of another dragon warrior. Correspondingly, the same was true for the power of void. The inheritance of the power of void also started from the mortal level to the truth level, then the heaven level, and finally the divine level. In the end, the deeper one's understanding of the power of void, the deeper one's compatibility with the inheritance of the power of void would become. One could obtain the King of Void, and then the Emperor of Void. These two were equivalent to the level of the Dragon King and the Dragon Emperor. The two virtual human geniuses that Kong Shinmu killed this time were already in the Emperor of Void realm. However, he did not know what level the Void inheritance they had obtained was at. Kong Shinmu followed the guidance of the Black Dragon's consciousness, and began to use a special method to assist in cultivating legacies. He used the devouring power to form a devouring formation in his body. This was a formation that assisted in cultivating legacies. Kong Shinmu had devoured quite a lot of the power of the two virtual human tribe geniuses previously. He was still storing it up. Now that he was cultivating the legacy formation, he fused all of the power into it and prepared to devour the legacy for his own use. There were some risks in this process. The main thing was to see if Kong Shinmu had complete control over the devouring power. If there was any mistake, his devouring power would fail and the power would dissipate. Once this power dissipated, if Kong Shinmu wanted to cultivate void power again, he would have to find other void human tribe geniuses to devour their power. Activate the formation. Kong Shinmu quickly activated the formation. With extremely precise and subtle control, he activated the legacy formation that assisted in cultivating legacies. The devouring power revolved around Kong Shinmu like flowing water, forming a devouring vortex. Power continuously gathered in Kong Shinmu's body, gathering all the void power that he had devoured before. Soon, a lake of void power appeared in Kong Shinmu's body. When this lake of void power was formed, Kong Shinmu could feel ripples in the space around him. No, it was not a ripple. Instead, it was wave after wave of spatial ripples. Kong Shinmu had already devoured and obtained the legacy of void power. The waves of ripples were like the breathing and pulse of this world. Kong Shinmu could clearly feel them. If he followed the spatial ripples to unleash some movement dragon martial skills or spatial dragon martial skills, or even the power of a demonic weapon like the instant magic ring, he would be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort. On the contrary, Kong Shinmu could even cultivate some of the techniques of void power to control these spatial ripples and disrupt the power of the surrounding space. In this way, he might be able to prevent his opponent from escaping at a critical moment. This legacy of void power is at the elementary divine tier. Very soon, the consciousness of the demon god ancestor evaluated Kong Shinmu. In other words, the two void human tribe geniuses that Kong Shinmu had devoured had initially obtained the inheritance blood essence that was equivalent to a divine dragon. One could imagine their status in the void human tribe. They were probably among the best of the younger generation in the void human tribe. In the end, they were killed by Kong Shinmu just like that. Kong Shinmu rubbed his nose. He felt that the two Void Human Tribe geniuses were really unlucky to have encountered him. However, this had also helped him to cultivate this elementary divine tier Void Power inheritance. A low-level Saint-level Void Power inheritance is equivalent to a Holy Dragon-level Dragon Warrior from the very beginning. This is very strong. The Void martial skills of Void Power mainly control the spatial ripples around one's body and then launch some attacks, defenses, and even shape-shifting. The Void Power mainly cultivates totem martial skills. The totem martial skills of their tribe can control spatial ripples and condense some powerful Void beasts. Void spiritual beasts are cultivated using this method and some other secret techniques. The two geniuses of the virtual human tribe that you captured had some virtual human technique cultivation methods on them, and they are of very high grade. You also have 4 virtual weapons on you, so you can summon the most powerful virtual totem and explode with powerful spatial ripples. It's a pity that the two Void Human Tribe geniuses were trapped by your Crimson Rose Seal. They were killed by you before they could unleash their full strength. How pitiful! Ancestor Fiend Celestial said wistfully. When Kong Shinmu heard this, he felt that the two geniuses of the virtual human tribe were really unlucky. It sounded like the Void Human Tribe possessed extremely powerful combat prowess. Not only were they exceptional in terms of concealment and perception, but their combat prowess was also quite impressive. Void martial skills, Void totems. These were cultivation paths that were completely different from the Dragon Warrior legacy. Kong Shinmu was quite curious about them. It just so happened that the two Void Human Tribe geniuses had quite a lot of cultivation resources on them, so he decided to use them to cultivate. What was worth mentioning was that the Black Dragon's consciousness indicated that after cultivating the auxiliary inheritance, Kong Shinmu's cultivation realm was shared. In other words, Kong Shinmu was currently at the 2nd level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. Therefore, when he used the Phantasm skill, he would be using the 2nd stage of the Reincarnation Tribulation realm. The power of the Phantasm skill would be comparable to this level. However, the most important aspect of a Phantom technique was the grade of the inheritance. This was as important as the grade of the Dragon Warrior's inheritance blood. Kong Shinmu's current grade of the Divine Dragon's inheritance blood had reached the 2nd stage of the Dragon Emperor's inheritance. Therefore, when he used the Dragon martial skill, he was at his strongest. He could fight many experts above his level. However, even though he cultivated the Phantasm skill and used the Void weapons, they were only at the beginner sage level Void Power inheritance. But now that the Bloody Rose fan had appeared on the battlefield of the Void Human Tribe and had even killed 2 geniuses of the Void Human Tribe, it was obvious that someone had taken away the Bloody Rose fan's seal and framed him. The situation on the battlefield of the 9 clans became a little confusing. The Demon God Tribe and the Demon Leader Tribe both stood up and denied that they had done such a thing. They asked the Evil Prince not to slander them. However, the Evil Prince naturally refused. They had indeed sensed the aura of the Demon God Tribe or the Demon Leader Tribe at the place where Xiaobai had been rescued. The Demon Leader Tribe and the Demon God Tribe came from the same source. In fact, a long time ago, the Demon Leader Tribe did not exist. Later on, the Demon Leader Tribe split off from the Demon God Tribe. They also cultivated the bloodline of an ancient demon god. However, the Demon Leader Tribe did not believe in ordinary demon gods. They believed in some ancient demon gods, which was slightly different from the Demon God Tribe. The power of both sides actually came from the same source. Now they had split into 2 very large clans. Therefore, the Evil Prince could not tell which side the aura belonged to. In any case, it was the aura of an ancient demon god. Perhaps it was the aura of a demon weapon or a demon martial technique. In any case, it was related to the word demon. Therefore, the current situation of the 9 clans was very funny. The Demon God Tribe, the Demon God Tribe, the Demon Leader Tribe, and the Void Human Tribe were all involved. As for the other 5 clans, they were just watching the show. For a moment, the battlefield of the 9 clans quieted down. The demon emperors of the Dragon Martial Continent, who had been planning to cause trouble, temporarily stopped and did not continue to do anything. Because the matter of the Void Human Tribe's geniuses being killed was already troublesome enough. It caused the entire battlefield to be very chaotic. If they made it even more chaotic, it might not be a good thing for the Dragon Martial Continent. Originally, he wanted to ask Ran Ran to help him absorb the power of the Dark Dragon Filth controlling skill. Unfortunately, Ran Ran was still absorbing the Divine Dragon Marrow. She was at a crucial moment in breaking through the Divine Dragon Inheritance blood essence, so it was not convenient to trouble her. Of course, Xiao Bai and Xiao Yuhua would not reject Kong Xinmu's request. However, Xiao Yuhua still reminded him, Kong Xinmu, I remember that you didn't want to spend time on cultivating the offensive dragon martial techniques in the past. Why do you want to learn our dragon martial techniques now? It is not easy to learn these two dragon martial techniques. Moreover, there is no need to display them before you break through to the heaven tier. Even if it was a high-grade origin source dragon martial technique, its power could only be displayed when one broke through to the peak of the heaven tier. Therefore, Xiao Yuhua did not recommend that Kong Xinmu try it. After all, cultivating a brand new high-grade origin source dragon martial technique required too much effort. She was worried that not only would Kong Xinmu not succeed in cultivating it, but he would also waste time on it and affect his improvement in other aspects. Don't worry, I am just trying it out. Who knows, there might be a surprise. Kong Xinmu said with a smile. The three of them went to Kong Xinmu's palace. As Xiao Bai had just woken up and had not fully recovered, she was asked to watch from the side while Xiao Yuhua used the phoenix dance burning the 9 heavens on Kong Xinmu. Now that Xiao Yuhua had cultivated this high-grade origin source dragon martial technique to the Saint tier, she could naturally write down a set of cultivation secrets for Kong Xinmu to cultivate directly. Of course, if she wanted to write down a set of cultivation secrets, it would be very complicated and would take a long time. For the time being, she wrote down some simple points, and then Kong Xinmu asked her to directly use the phoenix dance burning the 9 heavens on him. Come on! Kong Xinmu transformed into the Dragon Emperor. The pitch-black Dragon Emperor was brimming with health and vigor. His 1,000-zhong-long dragon body roamed freely in the sky above the palace. This guy's ability was too terrifying, right? It really works. Kong Xinmu's face was full of joy, and said to Xiao Yuhua, Since I have learned it, why don't you write a secret manual for me, Xiao Yuhua? If I have a cultivation secret manual, I feel that my cultivation will be faster. At least it can shorten the time by half. Jiang Shenwu estimated. Right now, he was completely relying on the power he had devoured to feel and explore. He did not have the help of a cultivation manual. Even so, he only spent 7 days to complete the cultivation of Phoenix Dance Burns the 9 Heavens. Most importantly, in the process of devouring, his devouring power even formed a memory of Xiao Yuhua's fire attribute power. He could completely transform his devouring power into Xiao Yuhua's fire talent power, and use Phoenix Dance Burning the 9 Heavens. In other words, if Kong Xinmu cultivated this dragon martial technique to its peak, its power would not lose to Xiao Yuhua at all. You're really a monster. Xiao Yuhua could not help but smile bitterly, and nodded. Then wait for me for 7 days. I'll write down the cultivation secret manual for this dragon martial technique for you. Writing a secret manual still required a lot of effort and energy, and for such a high-grade origin source dragon martial technique to be written down in 7 days was already very fast. This kind of dragon martial technique that was obtained from the Dragon Martial Academy should not be shared among students. However, since the opening of the Void Crack battlefield, it was very normal for students to share the dragon martial technique with each other. However, if the relationship between students was not very good, who would be willing to spend their own time to write down a secret manual for the dragon martial technique that they had cultivated to its peak and teach it to you? Therefore, generally speaking, students also traded the dragon martial technique in private. He pulled Ran and the others and teleported to the Martial Dragon Fortress. Martial Dragon Fortress. More than half a month had passed since Kong Xinmu killed the 2 geniuses of the virtual human tribe. In this half a month, there were many ups and downs. Many major events had happened. First was the change in the names on the Dragon Emperor list. When Kong Xinmu passed by, he took a look at the current Dragon Emperor list and found that there were many names he did not recognize on the Dragon Emperor list. It was still in the top 100, but Great Liang's Dragon Emperor's name was no longer on it. Kong Xinmu took a closer look and found that there was a secondary list of Dragon Emperor. Great Liang's Dragon Emperor was ranked 165th on the secondary list. Originally, he was in the 90s. In other words, the current Dragon Emperor list suddenly had about 70 people squeezed up. It's people from the Hidden Dragon Warrior family. Kong Xinmu narrowed his eyes and thought. He thought of the 13-member Dragon Warrior team of the Hidden Dragon Warrior family that he saw when he was near the Dragon Emperor list last time. He wondered how they were doing now. Chu Yueqiang and Tan Shouzhua are also in the top 20 on the Dragon Emperor list. They seem to be one of the strongest mentors in Donghuang Yonggu College. I didn't think of it before, but now it seems that their divine dragon inheritance blood essence has reached the 7th and 8th level of the Dragon Emperor list. They are not far from becoming super divine dragons. As for now, their cultivation is even higher. He hadn't seen Chu Yueqiang for a long time. This mentor had helped Kong Xinmu a lot, but after Kong Xinmu left, he didn't communicate with her anymore. After all, she was the Dragon Emperor mentor of Donghuang Yonggu College. It was indeed inconvenient for her to keep in contact with the students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Chapter 4580. Linghu Dai-er's strength had been ranked 3rd on the Dragon Emperor leaderboard before the Hidden Dragon Clan had entered the leaderboard. That was an extremely terrifying existence. And now, after the many seniors of the Hidden Dragon Clan had entered the leaderboard, Linghu Dai-er, as a junior, was still ranked 5th. This already showed how strong she was. With her strength, earning a heaven-rank Saint spiritual dragon weapon in half a month was definitely not an exaggeration. Therefore, she had asked Kong Xinmu to use a heaven-grade divine dragon weapon in exchange for half a month's time. This was not too much, and could be considered as giving Kong Xinmu preferential treatment. After all, her strength and cultivation level were about to break through to the super mystical dragon level. Once she broke through, a heaven-grade divine dragon weapon would not be too strong for her. At that time, she would be able to obtain a dragon weapon that was even better than a heaven-grade divine dragon weapon. Super mystical dragons did not carry divine dragon weapons with them, but super mystical dragon weapons. Super mystical dragon weapons were the dragon weapons used by super mystical dragons. As for supreme mystical dragons, they used supreme dragon weapons. Those were existences of an even higher level. To Linghu Dai-er, a heaven-grade divine dragon weapon did not mean much. But to Kong Xinmu, she still wanted to see what was so special about it. Kong Xinmu said that he could use the shadowy sunset flash through her to increase the speed of his training. She was quite curious about this. However, she could not help Kong Xinmu for free. Therefore, she needed payment. Half a month. Okay. Kong Xinmu sighed. He now had 4 heaven-grade divine weapons. They were of little value to him, and if he took them out to exchange, it would be too conspicuous. If he gave them to Linghu Dai-er, it would be considered as getting rid of the stolen goods, and reducing his future troubles. According to the previous ratio, the value of these 4 phantom weapons was 2 for 1 compared to the dragon weapon. In other words, this was equivalent to 2 heaven-grade divine dragon weapons. Kong Xinmu could give them to Linghu Dai-er one by one. He wanted to see how much his wind shadow flowing sunset flash could improve in a week. If the effects were good, he could even give them all to Linghu Dai-er. Then, senior mentor, please take a look at this. How much time can it be exchanged for? Kong Xinmu then tried to take out one of the heaven-class spectral weapons. This was a spectral energy weapon that looked like a roulette. Its entire body shone with a star-like blue light, and it contained a supreme void pattern. There was a dense void power circulating within it, activating the void formation within it. This is a phantom weapon? When Linghu Dai-er saw this, her brows twitched in surprise. So you're still hiding something. This specter divine weapon looks even more powerful than the ones you handed over earlier. Its quality is even higher. I'm afraid this is a sky-level void energy weapon? My goodness. Looks like you've gotten a lot of good stuff. Just this specter divine weapon alone feels like it's definitely above sky level. If you give it to me, I'll give you 10 days. After all, a specter divine weapon is different from a divine dragon weapon. I can't use it directly. 10 days. This result was already better than Kong Xinmu had expected. He had thought that he only had 7 days. Alright, 10 days it is. This specter divine weapon is yours. Kong Xinmu directly handed the roulette divine weapon to Linghu Dai-er. Linghu Dai-er raised her hand and caught it. She was quite happy to be able to obtain a divine spirit dragon armament. Perhaps someone of her status and level had some special channels to exchange it for a divine spirit dragon armament at a more favorable rate. That's right, Kong Xinmu. Linghu Dai-er suddenly said. The last time you handed over 2 specter divine weapons, you can exchange them for a dragon-level divine dragon weapon. The higher-ups have already sent a few for you to choose from. Do you want to choose now? Actually, about 10 days ago, these dragon weapons arrived. However, You seem to be cultivating at Emperor Xi's Dragon Martial Academy, so I didn't disturb you. Kong Shinmu nodded. He had long been thinking about this divine dragon weapon. A dragon-level divine dragon weapon was even stronger than a snow-wind dragon stone. Below the divine dragon weapons that super mystical dragons could use, a dragon-level divine dragon weapon was second only to a sky-level divine dragon weapon. There was no way around a super mystical dragon weapon. Only those that reached the level of the super mystical dragon legacy blood essence would be able to withstand its impact. Hence, if Kong Shinmu obtained a dragon-level divine dragon weapon now, he had already surpassed many of his peers. Even in the great world of the dragon gods, at his level of cultivation and blood essence, there were very few dragon martial artists who could obtain a dragon-level divine dragon weapon, except for some old fellows. For many young people, unless they were geniuses from some supreme holy lands, at his level of cultivation, they could only obtain an earth-level divine dragon weapon. Just like the snow-wind dragon stone, that was already the limit. Then let's choose first. Kong Shinmu said excitedly. Then, Ling Hu Dai brought him to choose the dragon-level divine dragon weapons that had been sent down. Originally, dragon-level divine dragon weapons were the ultimate treasures of Emperor Xi's Dragon Martial Academy. They couldn't be taken out for students. However, the clan behind Emperor Xi's Dragon Martial Academy should be the ancient Phoenix clan. Now they had taken out 10 dragon-level divine dragon weapons for Kong Shinmu to choose. This stealth-type Holy Spirit dragon weapon is called the Black Stealth-type Dragon Stone. Kong Shinmu narrowed his eyes and chose the Black Stealth-type Holy Spirit dragon weapon. After he chose the Black Stealth-type Dragon Stone, Ling Hu Dai directly threw the other 9 dragon-grade Holy Spirit dragon weapons back into the storage space of the Flaming Feather. The light from the Holy Spirit dragon weapons disappeared from the palace treasury. Only a jet-black Black Stealth-type Dragon Stone was left. Ling Hu Dai didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Kong Shinmu, are you planning to become an assassin? Or are you planning to become a thief? Ling Hu Dai never expected Kong Shinmu to choose the Black Stealth-type Dragon Stone. But although her words were mocking, her expression was very satisfied. Among the 10 dragon-grade Holy Spirit dragon weapons, the Black Stealth-type Dragon Stone was indeed the most suitable for the current battlefield environment of the 9 great races. After all, safety was the most important. Being able to conceal oneself was definitely the best. There weren't many types of Holy Spirit dragon weapons that possessed the stealth-type ability. This was because stealth-type battle runes were extremely difficult to create. Even in the Dragon God's world, they were extremely rare. Although it was only a dragon-grade Holy Spirit dragon weapon, its effects were extremely good. Although it couldn't increase the battle prowess of a dragon warrior, it could assist the dragon warrior in another aspect, greatly increasing their ability to protect themselves. Senior Mentor, this thing is more suitable for the current battlefield environment of the 9 great races, isn't it? Chapter 4582. Ling Hu Dai nodded her head. This black concealing dragon stone is not bad. However, you need to be careful. You cannot use it to move about recklessly. You should know that there are many experts with very strong perception. Even if you possess the black concealing dragon stone, you might still be discovered by some of the experts from the 9 great clans. Kong Shinmu nodded his head seriously. Then, he held the black concealing dragon stone in his hand and suddenly activated its ability. He enveloped his body with the black concealing dragon stone's ability. Then, he took 2 steps to the left, then 2 steps to the right. In Ling Hu Dai's eyes, Kong Shinmu suddenly seemed to be covered by a layer of gray mist. Then, the mist instantly dissipated. Even Kong Shinmu's body disappeared. However, Ling Hu Dai's eyes narrowed. Her perception ability had increased to a certain extent. This was some sort of dragon martial technique that strengthened perception. When Ling Hu Dai used it, Kong Shinmu's figure immediately appeared in her eyes. Kong Shinmu, don't move. I can see you. Ling Hu Dai covered her mouth and chuckled. Moving left and right? Do you think you're dancing? Kong Shinmu had indeed wanted to see if Ling Hu Dai could discover him when he was enveloped by the black concealing dragon stone. However, it seemed that Ling Hu Dai could easily discover him. Then, with a thought, he activated the concealment effect of the black centipede beast. His concealment ability directly enveloped the black concealing dragon stone and strengthened its effect. He felt the layer of black mist become even more illusory. Any aura that passed through the black mist would be absorbed by it. Originally, 10% of Kong Shinmu's aura could be said to have been emitted through the black mist. Now, only 1% of his aura could be emitted. Linghu Daier's perception ability, as well as that of the vast majority of the experts of the various races, relied on aura to sense and then transform it into an effect that appeared in front of them. Because of that, Kong Shinmu's 2 layers of concealment were stacked together, making it so that Linghu Daier could not sense anything. She knew where Kong Shinmu was, but her eyes couldn't affect him at all. In fact, if she didn't know that Kong Shinmu was there, she probably wouldn't have thought that there were other people in the palace treasury. Kong Shinmu, you're too amazing. I couldn't even sense your presence. Even Linghu Dai couldn't help but exclaim. By now, Kong Shinmu had stealthily moved behind Linghu Dai. As for Linghu Dai, that red-gowned beauty, she was still looking left and right. She was trying to find Kong Shinmu's position. Seeing that, Kong Shinmu was finally able to relax. It would appear that existences on Linghu Daier's level were able to see through the concealment of the black concealment dragon steel, as well as his concealment. However, when the 2 concealment effects were stacked together, it produced an extremely powerful effect. Linghu Dai was unable to sense Kong Shinmu's presence. This made Kong Shinmu overjoyed. Linghu Dai is the strongest expert on the same level as the Dragon Emperor. Even she can't sense me. In the battlefield of the 9 races, there aren't many people who can sense me. Furthermore, how can I run into them so easily? Kong Shinmu was relieved. It seemed that he could bring Xiaobai out for a stroll. Originally, he was afraid that Xiaobai would be discovered. However, now that he had the black concealment dragon steel and the double concealment ability of the Mo Wu beast, Kong Shinmu wasn't afraid that they would be discovered. Every time he appeared, he would kill his opponent with lightning speed and then hide again. He would first survey the surroundings to ensure that there was no one else around before launching a sneak attack. Chapter 4583. Dragon Martial Fortress. Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy Office. The office was very big, and Linghu Dai had reserved a training ground behind it. For the next 10 days, only she and Kong Shinmu would be here. The 10,000 zhong long body of the mystical dragon did not seem crowded in the training ground. The training ground was not a fighting arena, so there were no spectator stands around it. It was a huge sphere with a radius of 10,000 zhong. The edge of the sphere was a layer of enchantment laid down by the super mystical dragon. Needless to say, it was a boundary set up by Yu Yaji to separate the training ground from the outside world. The vast space was enough for Dragon Emperor-level dragon martial artists to spar here. As for Kong Shinmu and Linghu Dai, they would not spar here. Instead, Linghu Dai would be a sparring partner to help Kong Shinmu practice his dragon martial technique. I can just use the blade shadow flowing sunset flash here. I don't need to care about you? Linghu Dai asked doubtfully. Yes, not bad. Kong Shinmu nodded with certainty. Then watch carefully. Linghu Dai was still a little curious. She did not know what method Kong Shinmu was using to train. Immediately after, Linghu Dai transformed into a flaming divine dragon. This flaming divine dragon was filled with a fiery aura. The moment she transformed, a volcanic heat wave surged out in all directions. Flaming divine sky dragon. This was Linghu Dai's divine dragon essence inheritance. She had reached the 9th level of the Dragon Emperor. Originally, when Jiang Shenwu had first met her, she had only been at the 8th level of the Dragon Monarch realm. However, recently, not only had the students of the Dragon Martial Academy obtained the opportunity to advance, but she had also obtained the opportunity to advance. Therefore, she had broken through to the 9th level of the Dragon Monarch realm in one fell swoop, reaching the peak of the Dragon Monarch realm. When her aura appeared, Kong Shinmu felt it difficult to breathe. This Linghu Dai was indeed worthy of being ranked 5th on the Dragon Emperor leaderboard. She was too strong. Furthermore, she had transformed directly and hadn't shown any hostility towards him. Otherwise, Kong Shinmu couldn't imagine how much pressure he would be under. Immediately afterwards, the flaming divine sky dragon's figure flashed. Her slender body pierced through the void and leapt to the other side of the training ground. She had directly pierced through the void. She had already cultivated the blade shadow flowing cloud flash to the extreme saint realm, and had reached the realm of being able to move as she wished. Regardless of whether it was the distance, time, or speed of traveling through the void, they were all under her control. She had entered a state where she had the most freedom. Did you see it clearly? She turned around and asked Jiang Xinwu after casting it for a while. However, she realized that after Kong Xinmu had turned into a dragon, he did not reply to her. Instead, he flew in the direction where she had been previously. After using the blade shadow flowing cloud flash, the flaming divine sky dragon had left behind quite a bit of flame aura. Most importantly, the power of the blade shadow flowing cloud flash was still there. Kong Xinmu directly used his devouring power to devour it. The flame aura and power contained Linghu Daiyer's comprehension and understanding of the blade shadow flowing cloud flash. More importantly, it was the comprehension and understanding of the blade shadow flowing cloud flash that had been cultivated to the extreme saint realm. To Kong Xinmu, this was practically an epiphany. After devouring the power and aura of his opponent's first use of the blade shadow flowing cloud flash, Kong Xinmu's comprehension and understanding nearly exploded his mind. Chapter 45-84. Let's continue. Kong Xinmu took a deep breath. He had obtained a lot of insights regarding the wind shadow flowing sunset flash, but most of them were related to the extreme saint realm. Therefore, there were many things that he still couldn't understand, such as the void array, the void transformation, and so on. Fortunately, Kong Xinmu had some understanding of void energy, so he had some ideas about void energy that even Linghu Dai didn't have. All in all, Kong Xinmu's foundation wasn't very solid, but it was precisely this foundation that he lacked. Not only could cultivating the Sun shadow flowing light allow him to escape faster in battle, more importantly, it could deepen his understanding and knowledge of the void, allowing him to better cultivate the inheritance of the void. Of course, void energy and the traditional concept of the void weren't the same thing, but there were some similarities between the two. Since Kong Xinmu planned to cultivate the void energy inheritance, it wouldn't be a waste for him to cultivate the sunset streak. Following that, Linghu Dai began to unleash her blade shadowy flowing sunset flash. Every time she finished executing it, she would hover in the air and observe Kong Xinmu's movements. She discovered that ever since Kong Xinmu took an hour to react, the time it took for him to regain consciousness was getting shorter and shorter. Although she did not know exactly what was going on, Linghu Dai was able to clearly sense that Jiang Xinwu was improving. Furthermore, his improvement was extremely rapid. It's too fast. This kid's understanding of the void seems to be something that even I don't understand. What's going on? His sunset streak seems to have just reached the dragon level, but it seems to contain a hint of the heaven level aura, and even a hint of the saint level. Is there something wrong with my senses? I can actually sense the aura of the paramount saint realm. Linghu Dai couldn't believe it. She could sense that Kong Xinmu's aura was getting stronger and stronger. Jiang Xinwu's understanding and comprehension towards the blade shadow flowing sunset flash was rapidly increasing. She could clearly feel this, but why exactly was this happening? What method was Kong Xinmu using to cultivate the sunset streak? 7 days later. As long as Kong Xinmu woke up, Linghu Dai would continuously execute the sunset streak, deepening Kong Xinmu's understanding of the technique. He had obtained the Shadow Blade Flowing Cloud Flash's cultivation secret manual, so towards the cultivation of the Shadow Blade Flowing Cloud Flash, he originally had sufficient understanding. Right now, his devouring power allowed him to obtain all sorts of comprehension and insights that Linghu Dai had when she was practicing the Dragon Martial skill. His comprehension and understanding of the Blade Shadow Flowing Sunglow Flash had also completely surpassed the standards of his peers. His Sun Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash had yet to break through to the Dragon Realm. However, his Wind Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash had already surpassed the effects of the Earth stage, and even contained a hint of the Heaven stage and even the Saint stage. Kong Xinmu didn't know what was going on. Linghu Dai didn't know either. This seemed to be completely different from the ordinary cultivation of the dragon level. After obtaining Linghu Dai's understanding and comprehension of the shadowy wind flowing sunglow flash, what Jiang Xinwu needed to do next was not to continue absorbing her comprehension. Instead, he needed to focus on studying it. As time passed, he would naturally be able to cultivate the shadowy wind flowing sunglow flash to a higher level. To put it simply, these 7 days of cultivation were just an excellent foundation for Kong Xinmu. Although it didn't allow his Zun shadowy flowing cloud flash to break through to the dragon level, these improvements in his foundation allowed his Zun shadowy flowing cloud flash to rise to a higher level. Most importantly, It allowed his cultivation of the ethereal inheritance to improve greatly. The cultivation of the void inheritance can be put on the right track. I can try to cultivate many Saint Void martial techniques. Although I might not succeed, it can still increase my understanding and knowledge of the void. As long as I have a good foundation, I might be able to cultivate the void inheritance to perfection in the future. If I cultivate it well, it will be a great help to me. Kong Shinmu's idea wasn't bad. Moreover, the demon god ancestor also approved of it. Even the black dragon's consciousness agreed with it, but it didn't express it clearly. This fellow didn't speak much. Sometimes, a simple nasal sound was enough to represent what he meant. In these 7 days, Kong Shinmu had improved his understanding of the void by at least 3 times through Linghu Dai's sunset streak. The sunset streak hadn't broken through yet, but it was only a matter of time. Kong Shinmu needed time to consolidate his knowledge before he could break through to the saint level. Moreover, he might even be able to break through to the saint level without the need for the rising dragon marrow. It was said that the divine dragon marrow allowed the divine dragon blood in the dragon warrior's body to obtain a power that surpassed the heaven-level dragon technique. Only then could the dragon warrior cultivate the dragon technique to the saint level. As for the rising dragon marrow, it came from the super divine dragon. For example, Yu Yaji, the dean of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, could also condense the rising dragon marrow through certain methods. Therefore, the rising dragon marrow wasn't particularly expensive. Of course, condensing the rising dragon marrow required some special methods and materials. However, in the end, I still haven't broken through to the heaven rank. I'm afraid that it will still take some time before I can make a breakthrough. Kong Shinmu thought for a while and finally decided that he had to make a breakthrough in the divine dragon tyrant body technique first. This way, he would be more at ease heading to the 9 races battlefield. Of course, this would take up more time. There was not much time left for him. However, improving his strength in this aspect was also beneficial to him. In comparison, Xiao Yuhua and the others also had a lot of guardian points to spend. They had all exchanged for many cultivation resources to raise their own cultivation and divine dragon blood essence. Kong Shinmu was in no hurry to go out. Let's have another sky-grade spectral weapon. Kong Shinmu took out another heaven-rank phantom energy weapon to let Linghu Dai accompany him to cultivate for another 10 days. If I had known that you still had more, I would have given you less time. A heaven-rank phantom energy weapon in exchange for 7 days. You would probably agree, right? Linghu Dai was a little stunned. She turned and said with a smile. Kong Shinmu would indeed agree. Moreover, 7 days was the amount of time that he had wanted from the start. However, since they had already decided on 10 days, Linghu Dai could not possibly go back on her word. In the meantime, she first went out to deal with some affairs of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. She also handed some matters over to the other Dragon Emperor teachers. Then, the next day, she returned to the training ground and continued to cultivate with Kong Shinmu. In this process, she was not without benefits. Therefore, in reality, the divine dragon tyrant body art that Kong Shinmu cultivated was not that strong. It was just that at this stage, for Kong Shinmu, the fastest way to improve was to desperately cultivate this type of dragon martial technique. In addition, even if he obtained the body-tempering Holy Spirit dragon martial technique, it would not be easy to cultivate it. It would definitely take a lot of time. Even for Kong Shinmu, it would take a lot of time. Right now, what he lacked was precisely time. First, he had to raise his battle strength to the peak of the same realm, then earn more guardian points to exchange for cultivation resources to break through to a higher realm. This was what Kong Shinmu needed to do the most now. The 20 consecutive days of sparring were over. Kong Shinmu's divine dragon tyrant body art had broken through to the heaven tier. Moreover, during this period of time, Kong Shinmu's understanding of the void had also reached a very profound level. At least, compared to many dragon martial artists of the same realm and age, he was much stronger. The breakthrough of the wind shadow flowing cloud flash was also just around the corner. If he used it more often, who knew when he would break through? This was also a very important escape dragon martial technique for Kong Shinmu. If he could master it to the level where he could use it at will, it would definitely make him much safer on the battlefield of the 9 races. Do you want to continue? Linghu Dai winked at Kong Shinmu, who was still recovering from his injuries. Exchange for a rising dragon marrow. Who knows, it might be able to break through to the Divine Dragon Tyrant body art. Even if it takes 2 or 3 months. I don't have any extra phantom weapons. Kong Shinmu smiled bitterly. Heaven-tier phantom weapons were not cabbages. This time, he was lucky to kill 2 geniuses of the Void Human tribe and obtain these phantom weapons. To be honest, it was all luck. If he had not devoured and absorbed the power of the Bloody Rose's seal, how could he have killed those 2 geniuses of the Void Human tribe? If they were not truly invincible among those of the same realm, the Void Human tribe would not have sent them to the battlefield to train. They must have been very strong, but they were restrained by the power of the Bloody Rose's seal and could not be used. Even now, Kong Shinmu felt that it was basically impossible for him to take on the evil prince alone. Hence, in terms of individual combat strength, he was still quite lacking. Next, he only wanted to rely on the Black Hidden Dragon Stone to try his luck on the battlefield of the 9 major clans. He wanted to see if he could pick up some benefits. If he encountered members of the 9 major clans, he would naturally have to kill them. That way, he might be able to obtain some powerful cultivation resources that were comparable to the Divine Dragon Marrow. These things were coveted by the dragon martial artists. However, to the ancient Phoenix clan behind Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, these things were useless. After Ling Hu Dai left, Kong Shinmu recovered from his injuries and walked out of the training ground. Then he started to think. Right now, Ling Hu Dai could kill the #1 student in the Heaven's Core district with just 1% of her strength. In other words, just based on the defense of his physical body, after activating the Guardian mode, he was already comparable to the strongest student in the Heaven's Core district. The strongest student in the Heaven's Core district was the strongest student in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. In the past, Yu Tianchong and Feng Ligay were also in this category. Now, Kong Shinmu had finally reached this level. And he had spent less time to reach this level than anyone else. Unfortunately, others did not think that he was too heaven-defying. After all, the environment now was different from the past, and the opportunities were different. Most of the time, opportunities represented everything. The appearance of the Void Crack battlefield had increased the speed of improvement of many dragon martial artists by several times. This was also a fact. Kong Shinmu left the training ground and returned to the courtyard they had rented at Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. He saw Ran Ran. Originally, he wanted to ask Ran Ran to teach him the Saint-level Dark Dragon Filth controlling technique, but there was no time now. There were only 10 months left. No matter what, Kong Shinmu had to reach the 4th level of the Dragon Emperor before then. As for his cultivation level, it would be best if he could reach the 5th level of the Reincarnation Realm. That way, he could condense the power of reincarnation once, which would greatly increase his combat power. The Dark Dragon Filth controlling technique only greatly increased his recovery ability. It wasn't particularly good at improving his defense. Kong Shinmu didn't want to spend too much time on it. After all, he had to cultivate the more powerful Holy Spirit Dragon martial techniques. These Source Dragon martial techniques could only be considered as transitional. After finding Ran Ran, he realized that Ran Ran had also improved a lot recently. He had cultivated with her for 20 days. During this time, Ran Ran's cultivation level had increased by 1 level, reaching the 4th level of the Reincarnation Realm. This was the same level as Xiao Yuhua and Xiao Bai. However, he soon realized that he was wrong. Xiao Yuhua and Xiao Bai had also made breakthroughs during this time. They had reached the peak of the 4th level of the Reincarnation Realm. They had both chosen to break through to the 5th level of the Reincarnation Realm. This level was actually 1 level higher than Ran Ran's. However, neither of them chose to break through directly. They didn't have the chance when they were in the Nirvana realm. Now, they had the opportunity to cultivate the Holy Spirit Dragon martial techniques. After they cultivated the Holy Spirit Dragon martial techniques, they could try to challenge the 2nd Reincarnation Beast. They could try to condense the power of reincarnation when they broke through to the 5th level of the Reincarnation Realm. Previously, Kong Shinmu would condense the power of Nirvana every time he broke through to the 9th level of the Nirvana Realm. He would defeat the 2nd Nirvana Beast every time, which was equivalent to breaking through to the 5th level of the Nirvana Realm. This made him 50% stronger than ordinary dragon martial artists when he was at the peak of the Nirvana Realm. This wasn't a small amount. Of course, the strength of the power of Nirvana condensed had a smaller impact on the Reincarnation Realm. Currently, Kong Shinmu's 5 condensed power of Nirvana basically only took up 10% of his strength. In the eyes of Xiao Yuhua and Xiao Bai, this little bit of improvement was negligible since they had already missed it. However, the next reincarnation realm was the most crucial point. In the past, there were very few dragon martial artists in the dragon martial continent who could condense the power of nirvana at the reincarnation realm. That was because they weren't strong enough. Without cultivating the Holy Spirit dragon martial techniques, how could they defeat the second reincarnation beast? However, it was different now. No matter what, condensing the power of nirvana once was equivalent to raising one more level of cultivation. Xiao Yuhua and Xiao Bai didn't plan to give up this opportunity. At the very least, they planned to cultivate the Holy Spirit dragon martial techniques and try to defeat the second reincarnation beast when they broke through to the next level to condense the power of nirvana. Kong Xinmu agreed with their idea. As long as they could successfully break through to the 5th level of the reincarnation realm before the next school competition, they would be able to condense the power of nirvana. If they could break through to the 6th level of the reincarnation realm, it would be equivalent to reaching the 8th level of the reincarnation realm. This was a completely different concept. Needless to say, their future development potential would be even greater. One must know that the reincarnation realm was the peak of dragon martial artists' cultivation at the Dragon Emperor's level. There was nothing more to it. If they could condense the power of nirvana 5 times, their final battle strength would increase by 50%. 50% of the reincarnation realm's strength meant that they could fight 1 against 2. This wasn't an ordinary concept. The impact was too great. Chapter 4588. Liang Xiao and Ran Ran were both at the 4th tier of the rebirth realm. They were not in a hurry to break through to the 4th tier. They would probably be stuck at this cultivation level until they were strong enough to break through to the 5th tier of the rebirth realm. They only had one chance, and they could not afford to waste it. Therefore, they needed a large number of guardian points to exchange for the Holy Spirit dragon martial skills. Moreover, it could not be the elementary Holy Spirit dragon martial skills. Since it was equally difficult to cultivate, why not choose a stronger Holy Spirit dragon martial skill? Elementary, medial, and superior grade divine spirit dragon martial techniques. The difference between these 3 grades was like the difference between an elementary grade divine spirit dragon martial technique and a superior grade divine spirit dragon martial technique. Of course, the difficulty of cultivation was the same. However, to them, it might not be that fast to break through from the Dragon Emperor to the Super Divine Dragon. It might take more than 10 years, or even longer. They had enough time to cultivate the advanced Holy Spirit dragon martial skills. However, they needed to seize this opportunity and exchange for the advanced Holy Spirit dragon martial skills first. Unlike the Holy Spirit dragon weapons, the Holy Spirit dragon martial skills could be written down by a dragon martial artist who cultivated to the peak of the heaven tier. Therefore, the Supreme Divine Dragon had left many for Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. However, the requirements for this level of Holy Spirit dragon martial skills could not be relaxed and given to students to cultivate. If one did not have enough talent, it would be a complete waste of time to forcefully cultivate a higher-level dragon martial skill. It was very likely that one would not be able to cultivate it even after a year or so. Therefore, these Holy Spirit dragon martial skills could only be exchanged with guardian points. During this time, Xiao Yuhua and the other 3 had chosen the advanced Holy Spirit dragon martial skills that they wanted to cultivate. Unfortunately, they still needed a large number of guardian points to exchange for them. If the 5 of them did not share their guardian points equally, they might have enough guardian points from killing the 2 geniuses of the virtual human tribe. Unfortunately, if they wanted to exchange for the advanced Holy Spirit dragon martial skills, they would have to kill at least 7 or 8 of those geniuses of the virtual human tribe. That would be a heavy task. Kong Xinmu felt that his chances were not high. Of course, with the existence of the hidden black dragon stone, they could still try. Come on, let's go. We'll try to find 1 or 2 more members of the 9 great races to kill. This time, we'll go to the battlefield of the Talisman Water Race. Kong Xinmu led the 4 of them and set off. The 4 of them were slightly excited. They had witnessed the effects of the concealing black dragon stone. It was practically flawless. Even a peak dragon emperor like Linghu Dai was unable to detect Kong Xinmu's tracks. This was extremely terrifying. More importantly, the black concealing dragon stone could hide them all. It was a must-have item for sneak attacks and assassinations. When they left Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, Kong Xinmu had already activated the black concealing dragon stone's function to hide the 5 of them. After concealing themselves, their view of the outside world was a little blurry, as if they couldn't see clearly. This was because of the black concealing dragonstone and the power of Kong Shinmu's Mo Wu beast. Of course, this didn't affect their observation of the surrounding environment. Unfortunately, under such circumstances, they could only observe their surroundings with their naked eyes. While the black concealing dragonstone concealed their auras, it also prevented them from sensing the auras of others around them. This could be considered a flaw, but it was completely acceptable. After all, others couldn't see or sense them. This was already very powerful. More importantly, they could still see others. Within the range of the black concealing dragonstone's concealment effect, even Kong Shinmu's perception was weakened. However, his perception was still stronger than the other four. It wasn't to the extent that he couldn't sense anything. It was just that his perception was not as sharp as it was outside. When they set off from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, the 5 of them had not transformed into divine dragons. They were still rather cautious when moving around the Dragon Martial Fortress. The 5 of them had to move together. Otherwise, if one of them fell behind, that person might leave the range of the black concealing dragonstone. Fortunately, there weren't many people in the Dragon Martial Fortress. The 5 of them gathered together and found a wide path. Soon, they arrived at the plaza. They planned to leave the plaza and head for the battlefield of the Talisman Water Race. The servants of the Talisman Water Race were known as water slaves. They were some of the living beings of the Talisman Water Race's great world. These living beings were underwater creatures formed from elemental power. They had low-end spiritual intelligence and were basically the servants of the Talisman Water Race. Of course, water slaves were also divided into different grades. Some of the higher-grade water slaves had more spiritual intelligence and were the chief water slaves. In the Talisman Water Race's clans and sects, many chores were done by water slaves. The chief water slaves even had the opportunity to cultivate the power of the Talisman Water Race. The environment of the Talisman Water Race was also rather complicated. However, this had nothing to do with Kong Shinmu. As long as he saw them, he would just kill them. They quickly flew out of the Dragon Martial Fortress and headed for the void. When they reached the void, the 5 of them heaved a sigh of relief. This was because the range of the black concealing dragonstone had expanded to more than 100 zhong. There was no need for the 5 of them to stay too close. Even if they fell behind a little, they wouldn't be out of the range of the black concealing dragonstone. They knew the direction of the battlefield of the Talisman Water Race, so they headed straight for it. When they were about 50 kilometers away from the Dragon Martial Fortress, they could already sense the faint aura of water slaves in the surroundings. The aura of these water slaves had entered the range of the black concealing dragonstone, so they could sense it. This also meant that the owner of the aura of these water slaves was already dead. It seems that many people have killed water slaves in the battlefield of the Talisman Water Race, and many of them have died. However, there are also dragon martial artists who have died here. For the 9 major races, they just want to use all kinds of methods to lure us out and then kill us. The water slaves are what they use to lure us out. For the 9 major races, it didn't matter how many slaves were killed or injured. The key was that their deaths had to be worthwhile. If they could lure some dragon martial artists to attack and then kill them, their battle merits would increase, which would lay a stronger foundation for their eventual victory in the battlefield of the 9 major races. Therefore, it could be said that now that Kong Shinmu and the others had the black concealing dragonstone, they were simply the bane of the 9 major races. Of course, we must pay attention to one thing. We absolutely cannot go to the battlefield of the other races. After all, this black concealing dragonstone was given to me by the ancient Phoenix clan. The ancient Phoenix clan is well aware that we have the black concealing dragonstone. If we go to the battlefield of the ancient Phoenix clan, the matter of us killing the geniuses of the void human race will definitely be exposed. The ancient Phoenix clan has joined forces with us. At least on the surface, we can't fall out with the ancient Phoenix clan. Kong Shinmu thought to himself. As long as they continued to kill the servants and clansmen of the Talisman Water Race, Void Human Race, and Demon God Race, the ancient Phoenix clan would be even happier. This was because the ancient Phoenix clan had a higher chance of winning in the end. They were basically raising a killer. They would use more cultivation resources to raise stronger dragon martial artists, and then let these dragon martial artists fight on the battlefield of the other races. Chapter 45-89. On the Dragon Martial Continent, a delicate balance was maintained on the battlefield of the 9 major races. Kong Xinmu led Xiao Yuhua and the other three to the battlefield of the Talisman Water Tribe. They soon entered the depths of the battlefield. Not long after, they heard the sound of vibrations and ripples in the void. It was coming from not far away. Clearly, there were powerful existences fighting over there. Kong Xinmu and the others slowly flew over. Before transforming into dragons, their flying speed was indeed a little slow. However, under the cover of the hidden black dragon stone, there was nothing they could do about it. After all, it was better than running out openly and being discovered. By the time they reached the place where the sounds of battle were coming from, the battle had already ended. It's the students of Donghuang Yanggu College. They killed the demon slaves. Kong Xinmu and the others quickly saw the situation on the battlefield. It's them. Kong Xinmu took a look and saw that there were a total of 7 students from Donghuang Yanggu College. He even knew 3 of them. Lin Yuji was the opponent he had encountered when he had first participated in the academy tournament at Donghuang Yanggu College. Lin Yuji could be considered a genius of Donghuang Yanggu College. At that time, because of Zhua Xiaofeng, she had defeated Kong Xinmu in the academy tournament and secured her position in the Kaiyang district. However, she had personally paid a visit to Kong Xinmu to apologize. Lin Yuji's character was not bad. That matter could not be blamed on her. It was all Zhua Xiaofeng's doing. Lin Yuji could not do anything about it. Now that he saw Lin Yuji again, he realized that she had actually reached the level of the Dragon Emperor's inherited blood essence. She was at the 2nd level of the Dragon Emperor, and her cultivation had also reached the 4th level of the Samsara realm. Her battle prowess was no longer weak and could barely compare to Xiao Yuhua and the others from half a month ago. Among the 6 Donghuang Yanggu College students with her, Kong Xinmu knew 2 of them. They were Qin Fengyu and Lu Hua. The 2 of them had treated Kong Xinmu very well. When Kong Xinmu first joined Donghuang Yanggu College, they had taken good care of him. Right now, their cultivation realms were slightly lower than Lin Yuji's. Even though the grade of the divine dragon blood essence and their cultivation realms were lower by 1 level, in terms of battle prowess, the 2 of them could still contend against Lin Yuji if they joined forces. At this moment, the 7 of them had joined forces to kill 2 water slaves. The 2 water slaves were equivalent to the 1st level of the Dragon Emperor, who was at the 6th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation realm. With their strength, it was relatively easy for them to deal with these 2 water slaves. It could be seen that the 7 of them were led by a young man. This was not the first time they had killed water slaves on the battlefield of the Talisman Water Clan. They directly plundered the spoils of war and directly flew into the distance. Brother Jiang, what should we do? Follow them? Or find another way? Liang Xiao was a little hesitant. After all, if they followed them, all the water slaves along the way would have been killed by this group of people. They might not be able to get any benefits. However, Kong Xinmu frowned. Within the range of the black hidden dragon stone, although his perception had weakened, he could still perceive some things. They were very subtle, but even very subtle things attracted his attention. Let's follow them first. If I'm not wrong, it's very likely that the clansmen of the Talisman Water Clan are following them and planning to attack. Kong Xinmu thought for a moment and said. The reason why they did not attack directly was that they wanted Lin Yuji and the others to kill more water slaves, so that they could see the specific abilities of Lin Yuji and the others and deal with them in a targeted manner. After all, many dragon martial artist students had many tricks up their sleeves, such as divine dragon weapons, divine dragon martial techniques, and so on. The 4 dragon martial academies had opened up the system of taking human-level divine dragon weapons for free, and then giving a 20% discount to make up for the points. These human-level divine dragon weapons were all used to save lives. Therefore, the clansmen of the Talisman Water Clan would also be more guarded against this method, in case the other party ran away. With caution, they would first collect enough information, and then they would be able to catch all of their opponents in one fell swoop. At this moment, Lin Yuji and the others were still unaware of the existence of danger. The group of 7 moved quickly in the void. The harvest this time is not considered much, but it is not little either. 2 water slaves. The number of protection points each of us can be considered not bad. I hope we can kill more water slaves. Someone said. However, Qin Fengyu's face was a little worried. I keep feeling a little uneasy, as if I'm being watched. Why don't we go back first? Fengyu, there's no one around here. Among the 7, the young man who led the group looked around and said confidently. His eyes emitted a faint golden light, as if he had some detection ability, but he did not notice Kong Shin-mu, who was following behind them. With the double concealment of the black concealing dragonstone and the power of the centipede ink beast, basically no one on the battlefield of the 9 clans could find traces of Kong Shin-mu and the others. Of course, they also did not discover the clansmen of the Talisman Water Clan who might be hiding in the surroundings. He looked at Qin Fengyu and Lin Yuji. These 2 girls were delicate and beautiful, and they were the only 2 girls in the team. He wanted to have both of them at the same time. This young man was called Lin Shuang, and he was considered a student of the Donghuang Yonggu College who had recently risen. Before the invasion of the 9 clans, he had been risking his life on the demon hunting battlefield, and his intuition towards danger was considered very sharp. However, it was precisely because he had repeatedly escaped from the line between life and death that he now trusted his eyes too much. His eyes were trained in a detection type of origin source dragon martial technique, and he was confident that no one could hide from his eyes. He looked around, and his confident look made Lin Yuji and the others relax a little. I really think there might be a problem. Qin Fengyu was still a little worried. She had a good relationship with Lu Hua, and the 2 of them even had the intention of developing a relationship. Lu Hua's innate talent was not bad, but compared to Lin Shuang, he was naturally inferior. However, the key was that he did not train in any detection skills, and was not as useful on the battlefield as Lin Shuang. Therefore, Lin Shuang could become the core of the team, and their safety depended on him. Why don't we go back first? Lu Hua hesitated for a moment, and asked Qin Fengyu in a low voice. This is not very good, right? Qin Fengyu was stunned, and felt that it was not very appropriate to leave her teammates and go back. Lin Shuang glanced at Lu Hua, and there was some disgust in the depths of his eyes. After all, to him, Lu Hua and Qin Fengyu were too close. If he wanted to get Qin Fengyu, he had to defeat Lu Hua. He liked to constantly suppress Lu Hua in the team's operations. Chapter 45-90. Although he said so, in fact, Lin Shuang had his own selfish motives. As the leader of the team, he had obtained more guardian points than the others. After all, the safety of the whole team depended on him. However, he had not been able to accumulate enough guardian points because he was very cautious. Every time he went back, he would spend all the guardian points and transform them into his own strength. This way he felt safer. Now, their team had only killed 2 water slaves. If they wanted to go back, wouldn't they be unable to exchange them for anything? There was no need to go back so early. Anyway, he was very confident in his eyes. He had killed at least 10 water slaves on the battlefield of the Fu Shui race. If he killed 2 more now, he could go back and try to break through to the 4th level of the Dragon Emperor's blood essence. Now he was at the 3rd level of the Dragon Emperor's blood essence, and his improvement speed was quite fast. The appearance of the battlefield of the 9 races was indeed a catalyst for some geniuses to break through. As soon as he said so, 2 young men next to him immediately chimed in. Yes, let's kill 2 more water slaves before we go back. Anyway, with Brother Lin Shuang's ability to detect danger, we will be fine. Qin Fengyu, don't tell me you don't believe in Brother Lin Shuang's ability? The 2 young men chuckled and spoke in a relaxed tone. Obviously, they also trusted Lin Shuang's eyes. His detection dragon was very strong and had helped them avoid danger several times. Hearing so many people talking, Qin Fengyu was a little embarrassed. Well, let's kill 2 more water slaves. There should be no problem. After all, I just have a feeling. This feeling is not necessarily true. She felt that she might be too sensitive. In the battlefield of the 9 races, she often had this feeling. However, nothing had happened with Lin Shuang, so she did not think too much about it. Lin Yuji heard their conversation and did not take it to heart. This kind of thing was common in the team. She just kept observing the surroundings in case of any sudden danger. Soon, they saw 2 water slaves flying quickly in front of them. In the void, the 2 water slaves were like flat fish thousands of feet long. Their bodies were light blue, gliding in the void at an extremely fast speed. This was the characteristic of the water slaves. They flew extremely fast in the void. Do it. The 2 water slaves, who looked like flat fish, had a flat mouth in front of them. They had no eyes, and their light blue skin looked a little sticky. They were originally flying in the air, but they were suddenly blocked by Lin Yuji and the others. A terrifying attack power was directly unleashed by the 7 dragon warriors, blasting towards the 2 flat fish. The 2 water slaves were at the 6th level of the reincarnation realm, which was equivalent to the 1st level of the Dragon Emperor's inherited blood essence. They were as strong as the 2 water slaves that Lin Xuang's team had just killed. Therefore, they did not hesitate and immediately attacked. However, just as they were about to make their move, suddenly, countless blue lines of energy condensed into appearance in the surroundings, and then they actually instantly condensed into a water prison that enveloped an area of 30 kilometers. When this water prison appeared, it directly trapped Lin Xuang's team of 7, as well as the 2 flat fish water slaves. Before the battle was over, they had already become trapped beasts. Trapped beasts still had to fight. They had to first kill the 2 flat fish. Even though they were very panicked after the water prison appeared, the water prison had trapped them together with the water slaves. How could they leave the water slaves alone? The attacks of the 7 great dragon warriors immediately fell on the bodies of the 2 water slaves, bombarding them and forcing them to retreat. The water slaves' defense was very strong. Their whole body was light blue and sticky, and it was obvious that they had some means to divert the force, so they were not fatally injured. Then, the 2 water slaves retreated, sticking close to the edge of the water prison. Although they could not get out, they did not want to continue fighting with Lin Xuang's team. Obviously, the experts of the Xueqi tribe had made their move. The water slaves had successfully completed their mission as bait. To kill Lin Xuang's team, they obviously could not rely on these 2 water slaves. Oh no, we have fallen into a trap. At this time, the expressions of the 7 people in Lin Xuang's team changed greatly. Qin Fengyu was a little flustered. Lin Yuji and Lu Hua were relatively calm. As for Lin Xuang, his face was extremely ugly. He looked around and stared at the void. The people of the Xueqi tribe? You can come out quickly. He had never thought that there would be a time when he would make a mistake. The opponent's concealment ability was too terrifying. His eyes, he actually could not see it. Now that they had fallen into the opponent's ambush, it would be very difficult for them to escape. One had to know that at this moment, they couldn't even use the East Emperor seal on their wrists. That was a distress signal sent to the Dragon Emperor Menta. However, within this year, the Dragon Emperor Mentor was not allowed to step into the battlefield. Therefore, they could only rely on themselves to survive. Since the opponent had set this trap, it was obvious that they had planned this for a long time. It was very likely that all their tricks were already known by the opponent. After all, they had also fallen into a difficult battle before. Some of the stronger water slaves had to use all their strength to deal with them. Under the different gazes of the 7 people, 3 light blue figures slowly appeared from the void and appeared outside the water prison. They were 3 figures that looked like water. Behind them, there were countless runes that looked like water sparkling, containing the profound meaning of water. They condensed into a giant water figure that looked down at the battlefield. The Xueqi tribe cultivated the profound meaning of water and could condense the water god figure to descend and control the origin water power of heaven and earth. The water figure seemed to be the ancient origin water god. There were 3 figures in total, and they surrounded the 3 Xueqi tribe members as they floated in the air. The appearance of the 3 water god phantoms caused Lin Yuji and the others' expressions to turn ugly. These 3 members of the Talisman Water tribe were obviously at the 6th level of the reincarnation realm. Moreover, their Water Upanishad inheritance had reached level 3 of the Emperor level. One of them had even reached level 4 of the Emperor level. The water prison they had used came from their Xueqi divine weapon, which was roughly equivalent to an Earth-grade divine dragon weapon. They did not look like the top geniuses of the Xueqi tribe, but their battle strength was definitely higher than Lin Xuang's group of 7 added together. Profound meaning of water. Descend. Curse technique. Myriad water ancient god torrent. Chapter 4591. Torrent of ancient god myriad waters. This extremely powerful talisman water curse was probably equivalent to an earth-grade divine spirit dragon martial technique. Moreover, it was executed by 3 people at the same time and had been cultivated to the peak of heaven grade. The towering waterfall crashed down with a loud rumble, as if the heavens and earth were collapsing. The 3 talisman water tribe members burst forth with attacks, their eyes filled with satisfaction that they had finally achieved their goal. As for Lin Yuji and the others, all 7 of them had deathly pale faces. Let's attack together and block the attack. Lin Shuang's expression changed drastically as he immediately gave the order. He was still very strong, and his divine dragon form instantly erupted with the strongest power. The high-level origin source dragon martial technique that he had cultivated was unleashed without reservation. A pillar of molten light shot up into the sky, bringing with it boundless fiery light as it collided with a towering waterfall. Unfortunately, his strength was far too weak compared to the torrent of ancient god myriad waters. The pillar of molten flame rushed into the waterfall, but it only managed to create a small gap in the waterfall. It was unable to stop its momentum, nor was it able to weaken its power. At the same time, Lin Yuji, Lu Hua, and Qin Fengyu attacked together. Although the situation was despairing, they could not just wait for death. Resistance was obviously necessary, but they would only know if resistance was effective after resistance. The combined strength of the six swept toward the torrent of ancient god myriad waters and collided with it. Immediately, a wave of energy condensed from various attributes spread out in all directions, exploding with boundless power. The descending torrent of ancient god myriad waters slowed down for a moment, but it still managed to completely destroy the combined strength of the six people. Then, as if the sky had collapsed, it enveloped the 7 dragon martialist students. The entire area was filled with the sound of an explosion of power. Lin Yuji's heart raced as she felt her divine dragon body being battered by the torrent of ancient god myriad waters. Endless pain radiated from her body as her divine dragon body was being torn apart, causing her to retreat rapidly on reflex. The 7 of them had been battered by the torrent of ancient god myriad waters. Their divine dragon bodies had been blasted far away, and their bodies were covered in incomparable wounds. However, they had not died. The 7 of them were somewhat stunned. After all, logically speaking, they would not be able to withstand such a terrifying water talisman curse attack. Logically speaking, the torrent of ancient god all water should have engulfed them like a tsunami, and then shredded them into pieces. But now, they were only sent flying, and they were powerless? The torrent of ancient god myriad water, which had originally formed a waterfall, was now scattered into the surrounding void like waterflowers. In the void, what appeared before the eyes of Lin Yuji and the others was a scene that they had never imagined. The 3 members of the Talisman Aqua tribe who had ambushed them had actually been killed at this moment. There were no signs at all. It was as if someone had launched an attack on the clansmen of the Talisman Water tribe when they activated their torrent of gods of ancient water. Then, their torrent of gods of ancient water lost its power because they were killed. The illusions of the water gods behind the 3 Talisman Water Race clansmen had already collapsed. What appeared next to them were 5 dragon warriors. Their 10,000 feet long divine dragon bodies appeared outside the gradually collapsing water prison. The bodies of the clansmen of the Talisman Water Race were completely shattered like pieces. The 3 hearts of profundity were collected by someone. They were proof that they had killed the clansmen of the Talisman Water Race. In the silence of the void, Lin Yuji felt the serious injuries on her body, but they were not fatal. She saw the 5 dragon warriors attack the 2 water slaves next to her. Among the 5, the black dragon, who was the leader, did not attack. But the remaining 4 were all stronger than Lin Shuang. They are students from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. That black dragon looks familiar. Could it be? It's Kong Shinmu. After all, Qin Fengyu and Lu Hua had known Kong Shinmu the earliest. They were also the most familiar with him among the 7 of them. At this moment, they finally recognized the familiar figure of the black dragon. It seemed to be Kong Shinmu. Kong Shinmu? Lin Shuang's face darkened when he heard the name. We were saved by this person? This person is a treacherous villain who betrayed our Donghuang Yonggu College. Lin Yuji glanced at him but did not say anything. She knew very well why Kong Shinmu had left Donghuang Yonggu College. Wasn't it all because of Zhua Xiaofeng, the dean of Donghuang Yonggu College? But she did not announce it. After all, it would not be beneficial for her to do so. Lin Shuang did not have much contact with Kong Shinmu before, so he was not clear about this matter. Now, he felt that Kong Shinmu was a traitor of Donghuang Yonggu College. No, they actually took the hearts of profundity of the 3 clansmen of the Talisman Water Race. Lin Shuang quickly became jealous when he saw the actions of Kong Shinmu and the others. Those were the hearts of profundity of the Talisman Water Race. The value of each heart was equivalent to at least 10 hearts of water slaves of the same level. For them, it represented countless cultivation resources, and even special rewards. These 3 clansmen of the Talisman Water Race were lured out because of us. We have a reason to ask for one of them. Lin Xuang snorted coldly. He no longer cared about his injuries and flew directly in the direction of Kong Xinmu. Lin Xuang! Lin Yuji shouted. Her face was a little pale. She knew that if Kong Xinmu had not appeared with his people, the 7 of them would probably have died. In other words, Kong Xinmu had completely saved the lives of the 7 of them. But Lin Xuang still wanted to ask for the spoils of war? This was simply a dream. Of course, Lin Yuji also knew that Lin Xuang did not want to be saved by the people of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. This would make Donghuang Yonggu College seem inferior. Therefore, Lin Xuang wanted to fight for the benefits. If he could get a share of the benefits, then Donghuang Yonggu College would not lose face. However, would Kong Xinmu let him have his way? Kong Xinmu and the others followed Lin Yuji and the others. Although they were slower, the other party did not deliberately hide themselves, so they could still keep up. If it were not for the hidden black dragonstone, they would not have been able to transform into dragons. Otherwise, they would not have let the 3 clansmen of the Talisman Water Race release the Talisman Water Torrent. Chapter 4592. Kong Xinmu and the others began to collect the spoils of war. 3 profound hearts of the Talisman Water Tribe. This was a great harvest. However, many clansmen of the 9 great clans had died on the battlefield of the 9 great clans. Therefore, they probably wouldn't get a special reward like the Divine Dragon Marrow. However, there would definitely be a special reward. It all depended on what the ancient Phoenix clan would give them. If they were nurtured properly, they could greatly damage the Talisman Water Tribe, the Demon God Tribe, and the Virtual Human Tribe, and affect their battle achievements. For example, if Kong Xinmu and the others hadn't appeared, Lin Yuji and the others would have been killed. The Talisman Water Tribe would have gained a lot of battle achievements, and they might have taken the lead in the competition among the 9 major races. Kong Xinmu and the others killed the 3 clansmen of the Talisman Water Tribe and the 2 water slaves next to them. They collected the spoils of war and were about to leave. However, when they saw the dragon martial artists they had rescued flying over, they didn't leave in a hurry. Instead, they waited where they were for a while. Did they want to thank them? Kong Xinmu didn't know. However, he hadn't seen Qin Fengyu, Lu Hua, and Lin Yuji for a long time. It was good to communicate with them. Of course, he couldn't stay here for too long. After all, the battlefield of the Talisman Water Tribe was very dangerous. Moreover, the 3 clansmen of the Talisman Water Tribe had just been killed. Soon, Lin Xuang, who had transformed into a flaming divine dragon, flew over, followed by Lin Yuji and the others. 7 dragon martial artists arrived in front of Kong Xinmu and the others. All of them had transformed into divine dragons and had inherited essence blood at the level of the Dragon Emperor. Their bodies were thousands of feet long. In terms of momentum, they seemed to have overshadowed Kong Xinmu and the others. Moreover, they were a little aggressive. Kong Xinmu. Lin Xuang opened his dragon mouth and said in a cold voice, "We lured the enemies out of the cave. We also have a share of the spoils of war. At least one profound meaning heart of the Talisman Water Tribe." Kong Xinmu almost burst out laughing when he spoke in such a righteous manner. Wasn't this guy taking things for granted? Even if Lin Xuang and the rest weren't the bait, Kong Xinmu had also vaguely sensed the presence of the Talisman Water Tribe members. However, he wasn't too sure. Moreover, they had just saved their lives. Not only were they not grateful, they actually came to ask for their spoils of war. Kong Xinmu wondered if Lin Xuang's brain was damaged. He narrowed his eyes and looked at her. "This is your own idea, right? Lin Xuang, don't be unreasonable." At this time, Lin Yuji flew to the front. She glanced at Kong Xinmu and said, "Kong Xinmu, thank you for saving us this time." Lin Xuang didn't know what to say, so please don't mind him. This time, it's all thanks to you guys. Otherwise, I'm afraid we would have lost our lives. Lin Yuji, you're more sensible. Kong Xinmu sighed. Why was it that the students of Donghuang Yonggu College all had the attitude that they were number 1 in the world? In the past, Chu Qingyun was like this. This Lin Xuang was also like this. No one knew what to say. "You, Lin Yuji, stand behind me." Lin Xuang was nearly driven mad with anger. Why were his own people standing on the opposite side and talking about him? His words didn't know what to say? Lin Shuang had always liked Lin Yuji. Lin Yuji was talented, calm, and decisive. Most of the time, the only person in the squad that could help him was Lin Yuji. But now, Lin Yuji was deliberately disagreeing with him. He didn't expect this. And this seemed to be because of that Kong Shin-mu. Lin Shuang. Lin Yuji suddenly sighed. All along, we've always treated you as our captain and supported you with all our strength. But this time you've gone too far. Kong Shin-mu just saved us, but you didn't even say a word of thanks. Instead, you want to ask for your spoils of war? This is what we deserve. After all, we were the ones who lured the 3 Talisman Water Tribe members out. Lin Shuang braced himself and said, "If you think so, then there's nothing I can do." Kong Shin-mu's eyes narrowed. He suddenly said, "Oh right, wasn't there someone called Chu Qingyun in your Donghuang Yonggu College? Do you know how he died?" Chu Qingyun? Hearing this name, the expressions of Lin Shuang and the others changed. Chu Qingyun was a famous genius of Donghuang Yonggu College. But one day, he suddenly disappeared, never to be seen again after entering the battlefield. His squad had also disappeared, never to be seen again. Now that Kong Shin-mu suddenly mentioned this, could it be? I can kill those 3 Talisman Water Tribe members. Naturally, I can easily kill all of you as well. Kong Shin-mu's voice was cold as he said this. At this time, he truly did not wish for a conflict to arise between himself and the martialist dragon. Otherwise, when Xiao Bai was sealed by the Scarlet Rose fan, he would have directly agreed to the evil prince to help him hunt down the martialist dragon. That way, his harvest would have been much greater. But now that the martial dragon continent was facing a great calamity, the situation would be even more difficult if there was internal strife. Thus, Kong Shin-mu did not wish to point his spear at the martialist dragon. But Lin Shuang did not understand the situation. When Kong Shin-mu said these words, Lin Shuang was a little frightened. After all, the scene of Kong Shin-mu's group slaughtering the 3 Talisman Water Tribe members had just occurred in front of them. Clearly, the battle strength of Kong Shin-mu's group far surpassed that of Lin Shuang's group of 7. Even if they outnumbered them, it was basically impossible for them to win. Moreover, if they really fought, who knew who Lin Yuji's group would side with? Leave now and return to the Martial Dragon Fortress to recuperate. Kong Shin-mu shook his head and said, "We will explain today's matter to you when we return. Lin Yuji, Qin Fengyu, Lu Hua, it is very dangerous for you to be on this battlefield. In the future you must be very, very careful. Do not be as rash as today." All right. Without waiting for Lin Shuang to speak, Lin Yuji immediately agreed. "Fengyu, Lu Hua, let's go." The 3 of them immediately turned and left. Lin Shuang's group of 4 was left behind. Although they did not like Kong Shin-mu, they could not really fight with Kong Shin-mu here. Not to mention the fact that they could not win, even if they really had the strength to fight. What would they do if the Talisman Water Tribe ambushed them? It was impossible for anyone else to appear and save them again. Let's go. Lin Shuang had nowhere to vent his anger and could only leave in this situation. He brought his 3 subordinates and quickly flew into the dark void in the distance. Seeing that they had all left, Kong Shin-mu heaved a sigh of relief. This place was rather dangerous, and they could not stay here for long. However, Kong Shin-mu's group was not willing to go back now. They still wanted to stay here for a while. After all, this harvest wasn't much to them. Kong Shin-mu led Qin Fengyu's group of 4 away. Chapter 4593. It's very likely that our Donghuang Yonggu College's genius, Chu Qingyun, died in the hands of this Kong Shin-mu. I, Lin Shuang, must see what tricks he has up his sleeves. Let's follow from afar. Perhaps this fellow is in cahoots with the 9 great tribes. Lin Shuang led his men and followed Kong Shin-mu from afar, not making a sound. Although the 4 of them had transformed into mystical dragons, they were still too far away. Therefore, they were confident that they would not be discovered by Kong Shin-mu. The 2 sides were separated by dozens of miles. If Lin Shuang had not left a mark on Kong Shin-mu's body, he would not have been able to follow Kong Shin-mu's group. Unfortunately, they did not know that Kong Shin-mu's perception was extremely strong. Without being shrouded by the black concealing dragon stone, Kong Shinmu could even sense the aura of dragon martial artists from hundreds of miles away. Therefore, Lin Shuang's actions were like stealing a bell while covering one's ears. Therefore, in Kong Shinmu's opinion, Lin Shuang's actions were like burying one's head in the sand. Kong Shinmu ignored them. However, since they had followed him, he had to entertain them. He knew that Lin Shuang and the others must have left a mark on their bodies. Therefore, they could sense their location. However, once Kong Shinmu activated the black concealing dragon stone, Lin Shuang and the others would lose track of Kong Shinmu. Remind them to return to the Dragon Martial Fortress as soon as possible. The consequences of disobedience are very serious. Kong Shinmu narrowed his eyes and flew forward with Xiao Yuhua and the others. This was the battlefield of the Talisman Water Race, not the originally quiet void. Now, cultivators of the Talisman Water Race could appear at any time. Whether they were water slaves or clansmen, the chances of them appearing increased. This was because Kong Shinmu was heading deeper into the battlefield of the Talisman Water Race. After flying for more than 300 miles, Kong Shinmu sensed the aura of the Talisman Water Race in front of him. Immediately, he activated the Black Concealing Dragonstone's ability and shrouded the 5 of them. Their auras instantly vanished. Liang Xiao chuckled as he followed Kong Shinmu through the void. These fellows from Donghuang Yanggu College are really stubborn. Why do I feel like the students from Donghuang Yanggu College are up to no good? Xiao Yuhua chuckled and said, "We don't need to do anything in this place. If that guy overestimates himself and follows us, he'll really be courting death." Xiao Bai snorted lightly. Are the students of Donghuang Yanggu College also clueless? Or does that fellow have a grudge against Kong Shinmu? As she said this, Xiao Bai looked at Kong Shinmu suspiciously. Did you do something bad in Donghuang Yanggu College that made the students of Donghuang Yanggu College hate you so much? Yes. Did he sleep with their goddess or something? Liang Xiao hurriedly chimed in. When Ran heard this, she immediately glanced at Liang Xiao. Liang Xiao retracted his head resentfully. He scratched his head and added, "I'm just joking. Pretend I didn't say anything. There is indeed a goddess in Donghuang Yanggu College. Her name is Yu Tianchong. Her status is about the same as that of Feng Ligay from our Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Arts Academy." Kong Shinmu said calmly, "It was indeed her who caused me to leave Donghuang Yanggu College. However, we are just friends. If he hadn't been so close to Yu Tianchong, Zhou Xiaofeng wouldn't have been jealous of him and attacked him. Of course, it would be meaningless to talk too much about these things." All in all, Kong Shinmu was doing well now. He had gotten the promotion he deserved in Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Arts Academy. The environment here was fairer, and he was even taken care of. This was the right he had fought for with his talent. Kong Shinmu didn't really want to kill Lin Shuang and the others. After all, the Dragon Martial Continent was at a critical juncture now. It would be better to have one less person die. Therefore, after they came here, they hid with the ability of the hidden Black Dragon Stone. They could already sense the aura of the Talisman Water Clan in the surroundings. If Lin Shuang and the others chased after them without thinking, they would probably be killed. At that time, Kong Shinmu wouldn't save him again. Although Kong Shinmu didn't want to see the dragon martial artists killed. However, if the other party wanted to die, there was nothing Kong Shinmu could do. Moreover, it was obvious that Lin Shuang didn't get along with Kong Shinmu and had a lot of opinions about Kong Shinmu. If it weren't for this critical period, Kong Shinmu would have taught such a guy a lesson. If Lin Shuang didn't listen to his advice and never returned to the Dragon Martial Continent, it would have nothing to do with Kong Shinmu. The disappearance of Kong Shinmu and the others' aura clearly reminded Lin Shuang and the others that they had lost them. This place was dangerous, and they had to hurry back. But Kong Shinmu really didn't expect that there would really be people in this world who would voluntarily send themselves to death. When Lin Shuang discovered that Kong Shinmu and the others' aura had disappeared, his face darkened. That guy's aura has disappeared. I'm afraid he's really in cahoots with the Talisman Water Clan. Should we go to the place where they disappeared to take a look? I don't think so. If we continue to chase, what if we fall into a trap of the Talisman Water Clan? Let's go back first. Lin Shuang's face was cloudy. In the end, he was still somewhat afraid of the dark void ahead. This battlefield of the Talisman Water Clan was extremely dangerous. Lin Shuang had cultivated the Dragon Eye technique and could see further, but he still couldn't predict all the dangers that would come. The main reason was that after the sneak attack, he had indeed become timid. If it was in the past, he might really have chased after Kong Shin-mu. In the end, they gave up on chasing after Kong Shin-mu. However, they planned to go back and spread the news about Kong Shin-mu's sudden disappearance in the depths of the Talisman Water Clan's battlefield. They were afraid that he really was in cahoots with the 9 great clans. As for how they colluded, they didn't need to say much. In any case, once the news spread, there would definitely be people who would automatically make up the story. In any case, as long as they could slander Kong Shin-mu, it would be fine. Kong Shin-mu had saved them, but they treated Kong Shin-mu this way. This was undoubtedly because Kong Shin-mu had defected from Donghuang Yonggu College. This was all secretly spread by Zhou Xiaofeng in Donghuang Yonggu College. Otherwise, why would the students of Donghuang Yonggu College have such deep hatred for him? It was a pity that Kong Shin-mu didn't know all this. Using the ability of the Black Concealing Dragonstone, he brought Xiao Yuhua and the other 3 to hide in the depths of the Talisman Water Clan's battlefield. He wasn't worried about being discovered. Even if he was discovered, he had a way to escape. Unless an opponent of the super mystical dragon level attacked, he would definitely be fine. Chapter 4594. The members of the Fu Shui tribe appeared in front of Kong Shin-mu and the others again. Moreover, this time, he could see them with his naked eyes. It was a man and a woman from the Seal Water tribe. They were wearing luxurious clothes made from the light blue material of the Seal Water tribe. They were handsome and had the power of water Upanishad twirling around them. Waves of water rippled around them. These 2 people are very strong. I'm afraid they are equivalent to the 4th level of the Dragon Emperor, and above the 7th level of the Reincarnation Realm. I'm not too sure about the specifics. After all, there's a layer of hidden black dragonstone blocking them. Let's follow them first. Don't expose ourselves. Zhang Shenwu quietly communicated with the 4 of them for a while before following the direction the other party was heading in. The other party flew very fast. Before long, the water god phantom appeared behind them and flew into the distance at a speed several times faster than before. Unfortunately, Kong Shin-mu and the others were inside the hidden black dragonstone and could not move that fast. They could only watch as the other party flew away. The direction they're chasing seems to be the direction in which the Donghuang Yonggu College students just left? Liang Xiao was a little surprised to see this scene. They aren't chasing after them, are they? Ran Ran asked in surprise. Very likely, Kong Shin-mu said in a low voice. But these 2 members of the Fu Shui tribe are very strong, even stronger than the 3 from before combined. Even if we ambush them, we probably won't be able to kill them instantly. Of course, we might be able to take them away in a battle. However, this place is not suitable for a long battle. Let's follow them first and see what happens. Under the cover of the hidden black dragonstone, the 5 of them followed as fast as they could. Unfortunately, they could not transform into dragons. Otherwise, they would not have lost them. In the end, the 2 water god phantoms quickly disappeared in front of them. Kong Shin-mu could only chase in the direction they disappeared. Whether or not he could make it in time, he had tried his best. However, he did not expect that the 2 members of the Fu Shui tribe would soon appear in front of them again. A man and a woman from the Fu Shui tribe stood in the void in front of them. They seemed to be in a dilemma. The auras of Lin Shuang and the others have separated from the front. Kong Shin-mu's senses were more acute. At this moment he narrowed his eyes and said, "The 4 of them actually split up. Impressive." They must have sensed the pursuit of the 2 Talisman Water Tribe members in advance, so they split up. There are only 2 members of the Talisman Aqua Tribe. Looks like no matter what they choose, they will let 2 of them go. As for the other 2, they are unlucky. Xiao Yuhua was also a little surprised. If the 4 of us split up, the 2 Talisman Water Tribe members will definitely split up as well. Our chance has come. Kong Shin-mu made a prompt decision. Let's choose the girl first. Once they're separated, we'll rush forward and kill the girl. After that, we'll see if we can find any traces of the other man. If we can, we'll kill both of them. The combined strength of the 5 of them was quite terrifying. Even if these 2 Talisman Water Tribe experts were the strongest experts who could participate in the battlefield, they still couldn't win against the 5 of them. In fact, even if the evil prince were to fight against the 5 of them, they basically wouldn't lose. The most important thing was still the Blood Rose fan. This was the highest grade demon weapon that a demon emperor could use. It was even a little higher than some heaven-grade Saint Spirit Dragon weapons. It was a specially made super powerful demon weapon. It was not a transcendent demon weapon, but it was much more powerful than a heaven-grade Saint Spirit Dragon weapon. As for the two Talisman Water Tribe members in front of them, they naturally didn't have such a good item. Of course, Kong Shinmu and the others wouldn't be careless. They've split up. Let's go and catch the girl. Kong Shinmu chased after the girl as fast as he could. At the same time, the two Talisman Water Tribe members split up. They were the strongest on this battlefield. They had the ability to stay alive or at least delay for a while. As long as they could delay for a while, the Talisman Water Tribe's reinforcements would arrive quickly. Therefore, they weren't too worried about them splitting up. Kong Shinmu and the others slowly chased after them under the cover of the black concealing dragon stone. When Kong Shinmu sensed that the two's auras were getting further and further away from each other, they immediately left the black concealing dragon stone. Although the black concealing dragon stone could make their auras disappear and others wouldn't be able to sense their presence, Kong Shinmu and the others' speed was restricted. Furthermore, under the cover of the concealing black dragon stone, they would not be able to use dragon martial skills like the wind shadow flowing cloud flash, nor could they use the instant magic ring. Once they used these dragon martial skills or combat weapons, their auras would leak out, and it would be no different from not having the concealing black dragon stone. Therefore, Kong Shinmu cancelled the cover of the black concealing dragon stone and used the sunset shadow flowing flash as fast as he could. He brought the four of them and flashed in the direction of the Talisman Water Tribe woman. If the sunset shadow flowing flash was used to teleport Kong Shinmu alone, it would consume a lot of energy. Teleporting 5 people like he did this time would consume a lot of energy. Moreover, the casting speed would be slower, and the furthest distance would be shortened by 5 times. The dragon martial skills in this world were all fair. Of course, there wouldn't be such a heaven-defying method that could allow Kong Shinmu to teleport a few people as easily as he teleported himself. However, the Talisman Water Tribe woman didn't fly too far away. The sunset shadow flowing flash was just enough to reach the other party. Of course, this was under the condition that the other party didn't change her direction. Kong Shinmu and the others instantly teleported through space. When they reappeared, they discovered that they had appeared in a void. There was nothing around them. Hide! Kong Shinmu immediately activated the black concealing dragonstone's ability, allowing the 5 of them to remove their divine dragon forms and hide. Here, he sensed the aura of one of Lin Shuang's group of 4. As for who it was, Kong Shinmu didn't know. Anyway, it was the aura of one of the 4. This made him certain that the Talisman Water Tribe woman would definitely pass by this route. Moreover, Kong Shinmu didn't sense the aura of the Talisman Water Tribe woman. Therefore, she was definitely behind them and would pass by them soon. At that time, the Talisman Water Tribe woman would be alone. Prepare for battle. The Talisman Water Tribe woman will be here soon. We must kill her in one strike. Of course, if she resists, I will block all the attacks. All of you attack with all your might. Don't hold back. Kong Shinmu instructed. In about 5 minutes, they heard the sound of surging water in the direction they were staring at. Then, a huge water god shadow appeared in the void in the distance. Chapter 4595. In order to catch up to her target as soon as possible, the lady from the Fu Shui tribe conjured the water god projection. In other words, she was in battle mode. Just like the dragon martial artist who had transformed into a dragon. If the other party did not conjure the water god projection, her speed would only be 1/5 of her speed. Furthermore, conjuring the water god projection required some time, just like a dragon martial artist. Although it was only a short period of time, it would be fatal if she was ambushed. This was not good news for Kong Shinmu and the rest. However, the other party was completely unprepared for the ambush. In the eyes of the lady from the Fu Shui tribe, she was now a hunter chasing after her prey. She had never imagined that she would become the prey from the hunter. This change in status was almost impossible for her. The geniuses of the Fu Shui tribe were proud and arrogant. Furthermore, the 4 dragon martial artists were not very strong to begin with, however. Just as this woman from the Fu Shui tribe passed by Jiang Xinwu and the others, a sudden change occurred. Kong Shinmu and the rest immediately unleashed their strongest power. Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique. Aggressive Stance. Blizzard Dragon Stone. Blizzard Rampage. It exploded instantly. Jiang Shenwu used the Snowstorm Dragon Stone to unleash a Snowstorm Rampage. This move might not have terrifying destructive power against an opponent, but the most important thing was that the Snowstorm Rampage could freeze the void in the arena, hindering the opponent's movements. The lady from the Fu Shui tribe was flying at high speed. Even if the 5 of them launched a sneak attack, they would not have enough time without dragon martial artists. If they were any slower, they would be caught by the other party. Therefore, they had to make use of every factor that was beneficial to them. Kong Shinmu did not use the Void Dragon Sky Raising Strike. Instead, he used the Blizzard Blast and blasted the power of the Blizzard Blast into the void in front of the lady from the Fu Shui tribe. Immediately after, countless ice crystals condensed in the void in front of her. While the woman from the Talisman Water tribe was shocked, her flying forward was hindered. Divine Radiance Sacred Feather. Phoenix Dance incinerates the 9 heavens. The fire-type power of the Laughing Language Flower burned like a flaming phoenix. The entire void was filled with extremely hot flames. 10,000 Dragon Mystic Ice Blade Chi. Heaven-breaking Ice Slash. Xiao Bai's power of ice also arrived in an instant, condensing into a terrifying saber light that descended from the sky. Before the saber light had even descended, the cold air had already frozen the surrounding void, and some of the water vapor had even turned into beautiful ice crystals and snowflakes. As the saber light slashed down, the ice crystals and snowflakes were all shattered into pieces. With a loud bang, the saber light landed on the huge water god phantom, causing it to tremble for a moment. Then, the flaming phoenix arrived. The power of fire combined with the power of ice. 2 completely different powers fused together, producing an extremely frightening effect. As the flames burned, a long gash appeared on the back of the huge water god phantom. Dragon Blood Meteor Explosion. Blood Exploding Pearl. This power came from Liang Xiao. A wave of blood-red energy suddenly exploded out. With the boost from the human tier Divine Dragon Armament, the Dragon Blood Meteor Explosion, which had been cultivated to the Saint tier, was like a god of death. It landed on the water god's back and exploded. Finally, it was Ran's Dark Phoenix Heart Destruction, and the pitch-black energy finally swept over. After experiencing the successive attacks from the 3 of them, the water god phantom had practically become extremely weak. When the Dark Phoenix Heart Destruction swept over, it actually completely destroyed a third of the water god phantom. A third of the water god phantom was destroyed in a single move, and the woman from the Talisman clan didn't even have the time to react before she felt her strength instantly weaken, and it wasn't even half of her peak state. Of course, the water god phantom was like a physical body to the cultivators of the Talisman clan, and it was also like a shield. So long as the water god phantom wasn't completely destroyed, it was very difficult to kill them. Moreover, after they cultivated certain Talisman clan incantations, their water god phantom recovered extremely quickly. After all, it was only a form of pure energy. There were even some powerful Talisman incantations that could allow their water god phantom to recover completely in an instant, and such recovery speed absolutely surpassed the recovery speed of Kong Shinmu. Of course, it was impossible for the woman before them to possess such a powerful Talisman incantation. Talisman incantation, Ancient Water God's Protection. The woman immediately executed a Talisman incantation. Instantly, a wave of water elemental energy condensed in the surroundings, enveloping the entire water god phantom, and blocking the follow-up attacks. Her reaction speed was very fast. If it had been someone who didn't have much battle experience, they would probably have already been killed by the second wave of attacks from Kong Shinmu and the others. But she used the Ancient Water God's Protection to block the second wave of attacks from Kong Shinmu and the others. Even though they were very fast, and it was a sneak attack, they still weren't able to kill the woman from the Talisman clan. This Ancient Water God's Protection is quite powerful, and it's equivalent to your high-grade Holy Spirit Dragon's martial technique. This girl has cultivated to the Heaven tier, and can be considered to be at the peak. In the Talisman clan, she should be considered a pretty good genius. The consciousness of the demon god ancestor sounded in Kong Shinmu's mind. Equivalent to a high-grade Holy Spirit Dragon's martial technique, and cultivated to the peak of the Heaven tier? That was too terrifying. The high-grade Holy Spirit Dragon's martial technique was the highest grade of the Holy Spirit Dragon's martial technique. Below the super mystical dragon, this was already the strongest grade of dragon martial technique. One could imagine how strong the talisman incantation, which was equivalent to this grade of dragon martial technique, would be. It was no wonder that the 5 of them couldn't break the ancient water god's protections barrier in the second wave of attacks. The woman from the Talisman clan finally regained her composure. She slowly sized up Kong Shinmu and the others. Her face was as cold as ice, without a shred of emotion. She looked no different from a dragon martial artist. After all, she was also human. It was just that she had cultivated the talisman incantation and inherited the profound meaning of water. Layers of water elemental energy surrounded her body, and the huge water god phantom behind her was healing at an extremely fast speed. It's equivalent to the 4th stage of the Dragon Emperor, and the 8th stage of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm. Too strong. Kong Shinmu was shocked by the other party's strength. Wasn't this a little too powerful? The 4th level of the Dragon Emperor Realm, the 8th level of the Samsara Tribulation Realm. If it was an ordinary dragon martial artist at this level, Zhang Shenwu and the others would not feel the slightest bit of pressure and would be able to kill their opponents. However, this woman from the Talisman clan had blocked the combined attack of the 5 of them. You all! How dare you sneak an attack? The woman from the Talisman clan didn't look old. She might even be less than 20 years old. She had bright eyes and sharp eyebrows, and looked very valiant. She wore the light blue robe of the Talisman clan's aristocrats, and it wrapped around her voluptuous body. She was definitely a beauty. It was a pity that she was from the Talisman clan. Chapter 4596. However, the lady from the Fushui tribe had already reacted and blocked the combined attack of Kong Shinmu and the rest with her formidable strength. Therefore, it was almost impossible for Kong Shinmu to kill her. Let's go! Without hesitation, Kong Shinmu got the 4 people beside him to remove their divine dragon forms. Then, he used the Black Concealing Dragonstone's ability to conceal the 5 of them. Ha! The lady from the Fushui tribe frowned when she saw this, but she did not remove her defensive state. The water god projection was behind her, and its huge body enveloped her entirely. She was in an absolutely safe environment. Moreover, the water god projection, which had just lost 30% of its strength, was constantly recovering. Kong Shinmu, who was hidden, had a grave look in his eyes. He led the people hiding in the Black Concealing Dragonstone and retreated rapidly. Although he did not transform into a dragon and fly, his speed was still very fast. After leading Xiao Yuhua and the rest far away, Kong Shinmu suddenly rushed out of the Black Concealing Dragonstone's range of concealment. Of course, Kong Shinmu could not escape just like that. Fleeing after missing an attack was the method of an assassin. Of course, Kong Shinmu could not be an assassin, but a powerful dragon martial artist. He got Xiao Yuhua and the rest to hide first. Under the concealment of the Black Concealing Dragonstone, it was impossible for their tracks to be exposed. Then, Kong Shinmu would come out himself. This way, he would not have to worry about them being in danger. I will not be able to defend myself against such a top-notch expert. Once he attacks Xiao Yuhua and the rest, I might not be able to save them in time. Kong Shinmu thought to himself. Therefore, he decided to come out and fight the lady from the Fushui tribe. The lady from the Fushui tribe was just about to launch an attack when she did not expect Kong Shinmu to take the initiative to attack. The 1,000-meter-long, pitch-black divine dragon attacked the lady from the Fushui tribe with the divine dragon tyrant body technique. At the same time, the void dragon sky raising break was released, and 6 black dragon images appeared in the surroundings. They spewed out black dragon breaths that bombarded the water god image. In an instant, the water god phantom trembled again. The entire water god phantom trembled as it lost another 10% of its power. To Kong Shinmu, this was already the best he could do. His attack power was not strong to begin with. Even if he used the Wind Snow Dragon Vein Stone and the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body technique, he still could not completely destroy the water god phantom. Not to mention completely destroying it, it was very difficult to even weaken it a little. Humph! The woman from the Fushui tribe snorted coldly. Her beautiful body, which was enveloped by the water god phantom, immediately raised her hands. Incantation, Dragon of the Deep Sea. Suddenly, A terrifying power was extracted from the surrounding void. Water profound inheritance. A terrifying power erupted at this moment. The woman from the Xueqi tribe had not used any offensive methods in her haste, but now, the dragon of the deep sea was an extremely powerful offensive incantation. The target of this offensive incantation was Kong Shin-mu. Kong Shin-mu's sudden attack was harmless to the woman from the Xueqi tribe. However, her attack was almost fatal to Kong Shin-mu. Guardian Stance. Kong Shin-mu immediately switched to the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique's Guardian Stance. Then, he used the power of his physical body to meet the opponent's attack head-on. Devour. The black dragon's body was like a black stream of light that streaked across the deep void, colliding heavily with the deep-sea dragon roaming 1,000 miles incantation that the other party had conjured. Kong Shin-mu's black dragon body was extremely strong in defense. Now, the devouring power gathered on the surface of his black dragon body. At this moment, he was devouring the opponent's power at the fastest speed. The power of the water profound incantation. Dragon of the deep sea. This is a profound incantation that is equivalent to a mid-level divine spirit dragon's martial technique. It doesn't seem to be the strongest, but this woman from the Xueqi tribe has cultivated it to a higher level than the heaven grade. In the words of a dragon martial artist, it has reached the sage grade, or even the supreme sage realm. Kong Shin-mu's expression changed slightly. The moment he crashed into it, his entire body began to tremble violently. The black dragon scales on his body were instantly swept up and destroyed. The power of the water tornado instantly caused him to suffer heavy injuries. However, he had devoured close to 30% of the opponent's power. Although the remaining 70% had seriously injured him and shattered his dragon scales, it was not enough to kill him. I blocked it. Devour. Devil General's Devil Core. Kong Shin-mu devoured the Devil General's Devil Core as fast as he could. The power of the Devil General's Devil Core was crushed by the devouring power and transformed into extremely pure life essence. Then it spread throughout his body like waves. Wherever this power touched, everything would recover at an absolutely terrifying speed. The woman from the Xueqi tribe's face darkened when she saw this. She realized that she seemed to have encountered a defense-type dragon martial artist. However, Jiang Shenwu's defense did not seem to be too strong for her. Just a mid-level profound incantation was enough to seriously injure him. He had no choice but to rely on some special methods to recover his strength. She only needed to attack a few more times and this guy would be killed by her. However, her attention was not entirely on Kong Shin-mu. At least 30% of her attention was on her surroundings. She knew very well that Kong Shin-mu was not alone. There were several people who had attacked him just now. However, the others had all hidden themselves and only sent a thick-skinned person to deal with her. It was obvious that they were waiting for her to reveal an opening so that the others could deal a fatal blow to her. How could she be careless so easily? The woman from the Xueqi tribe sneered and attacked Kong Shin-mu again. This time, it was a high-grade profound incantation, which was equivalent to a high-grade divine spirit dragon's martial technique. Profound incantation. Water Ripple Slash. A water-colored ripple condensed in the air and slashed towards Kong Shin-mu at an extremely terrifying speed. The water ripple slash was like a saber or a sword chi. It almost shattered the void. Kong Shin-mu had just devoured the power of the profound incantation of water, so his resistance against this power had at least doubled. However, in the face of this water ripple slash, he still felt a strong killing intent. He could not block it. Nimble Stance. Kong Shin-mu immediately switched to Nimble Stance. His entire divine dragon body burst forward at a terrifying speed in an attempt to dodge the water ripple slash. Chapter 4597. This wasn't the first time Kong Shin-mu's tail had been chopped off. However, there was no doubt that his dragon tail being chopped off this time was the most dangerous and risky experience he had ever had. The water ripple slash was a terrifying water profound curse. Not only had it chopped off his tail, but it had also seeped into his wound, causing it to corrode both sides. The blade light of the water ripple slash actually contained an extremely powerful corrosive force. Kong Shin-mu's dark dragon inferiority technique erupted at this moment, but it couldn't stop the corrosive force from spreading towards his body. Of course, the dark dragon inferiority technique still had some resistance against the corrosive force. At the very least, It slowed down the speed at which the corrosive force was corroding Kong Shinmu's body by more than half. Otherwise, Kong Shinmu would have been killed by the corrosive force very quickly. But now, Jiang Xinwu was using half of the Dark Dragon Filth Control Art, and the other half of the Demon Core, he had just devoured to forcibly stop the corrosion of the corrosive experience at the place where his dragon tail had been severed. However, it wasn't that easy for him to restore his dragon tail. That was because the Water Tribe woman was about to attack again. Devouring power. Jiang Xinwu did not want to admit defeat at all. He was still far from death. Of course, his dragon tail being chopped off had a great impact on his battle strength, and the dragon martial skill he used would definitely be weakened because of this. The power of his dragon martial skill would probably not even reach half of its peak. However, if Kong Shinmu wanted to kill this person, he wouldn't need to rely on his dragon technique at all. Hence, as long as he could survive and use his devouring power to devour the other party's power, it would be fine. Kong Shinmu erupted as fast as he could. The other party's water ripple slash formed again and swept towards Kong Shinmu. This time, Kong Shinmu was prepared. He used the Wind Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash and traversed thousands of feet to the side. This distance was equivalent to the distance of several Dragon Emperor bodies, and he directly dodged the opponent's second water ripple slash. Immediately after, Kong Shinmu turned around and chased after the water ripple chop with his pitch-black devouring power, attempting to devour all of its power. Kong Shinmu did not have the time to absorb the power of the first water ripple slash, but now, he was prepared. The same move to Kong Shinmu was completely showing off his flaws. The devouring power was like a black divine dragon. Like a black cloud, it caught up to the extremely fast water ripple slash and engulfed it. At the same time, the corrosive energy in Kong Shinmu's body was also being devoured by him. This caused the damage and pressure on Kong Shinmu to decrease. The dragon tail that had been cut off also tried to recover. After the corrosive power was mostly devoured, Kong Shinmu's dragon body's recovery speed exploded. His dragon tail grew back at the fastest speed possible. His dragon scales, which had been corroded, were also recovering rapidly. This speed of recovery was unprecedented for the Talisman Water Tribe woman. She immediately planned to kill Kong Shinmu, but she did not dare to use her full strength. Who knew when those people hiding in the dark would launch a sneak attack? No matter what, she had only used 70% of her strength against Kong Shinmu. And this was Kong Shinmu's plan. If this woman attacked with her full strength, Kong Shinmu might be killed very quickly. Even if he could block one attack, what about the following one? The opponent was too strong. Even if he had devoured the opponent's water profound power, and Kong Shinmu's resistance to this power had reached its peak, he could not be completely immune to this kind of damage. This woman continued to attack. She did not need any other methods. Just her water ripple slash was enough to kill him. Therefore, Kong Shinmu had to have Xiao Yuhua and the others stay in the dark to distract the woman psychologically. Only then would he have a chance to defeat this Water Tribe woman. At this moment, Kong Shinmu had recovered. But the woman still did not dare to use her full strength. This meant that Kong Shinmu was gradually turning defeat into victory. Void Dragon Sky Raising Strike. Kong Shinmu even had the mood to tease the opponent, making it so that the water god image of the Water Tribe woman could not recover to its full strength. It was said that if the water god image was damaged too badly, it would affect their own battle strength. Unfortunately, Kong Shinmu could only make her not at her full strength, and could not destroy even 30% of the water god image. Therefore, right now, Kong Shinmu was still accumulating power. All the power he had accumulated had to be able to kill the opponent in one go. Otherwise, the opponent might realize that something was wrong and escape. Kong Shinmu only had one chance to kill her in one strike. After that, the opponent would not give him another chance. Who knew what method she had to escape in an instant? Right now, the woman did not think that she would lose, so she did not escape. Once she realized that Kong Shinmu could kill her, she definitely would not stay here and fight with Kong Shinmu. To her, life was definitely the most important thing. As for battle merits, they were not worth much. They were only here to gain experience. As long as they earned enough battle merits, they would be promoted to nobility. This was not just for the Water Tribe, but for the other 8 tribes as well. Therefore they valued their own lives the most. Jiang Xinwu cautiously moved about and fought, repeatedly using the blade shadow flowing sunset flash. Moreover, he controlled the distance he traveled through the void within a certain range, making it seem as if he could only travel through the void within a small range. The woman did not suspect anything. She thought that Kong Shinmu could only travel such a small distance. Seeing Kong Shinmu move around like a monkey, the woman snorted coldly. All the profound meaning of water in her body condensed into one point, and then, 1,000 water ripple slash. Countless smaller water ripple slashes shot out in all directions. Kong Shinmu had originally planned to dodge, but this time, the water ripple slashes shot out in all directions, and there were several in each direction. He had no way of dodging. If he really wanted to dodge, he could still do it, and that was to use the wind shadow flowing cloud flash to directly travel through the void to a distance of several dozen li. In that way, these water ripple slashes would definitely not be able to land on his body and attack him. But that would expose Kong Shinmu's trump card, and the woman would most likely escape. Therefore, Kong Shinmu could only risk his life. This time he did not dodge. Facing the countless water ripple slashes, he only tried to avoid hitting his vitals, such as his head and heart. Chapter 4598. This was the first time that Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body had suffered such a serious injury. This was all because the woman from the Xueqi tribe was too strong. Her combat capability would definitely be among the best in the Divine Center District in the 4 Dragon Martial Academies, and she was comparable to super geniuses like Yu Tianchong and Feng Ligay. But in the Xueqi tribe, her talent could only be regarded as above average. For example, Yu Tianchong and Feng Ligay were considered top-notch talents in the Dragon Martial Continent, but in the Dragon God clan, they were just above average. In the future they could become supreme divine dragons. But if they wanted to become supreme existences, they still had a long way to go. In addition to talent, hard work and opportunities were also very important. Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body was cut into 3 pieces. This made him feel cold all over. This injury was so serious that it would take him a long time to recover. However, the opponent's move was the best opportunity for Kong Shinmu to counterattack. Devouring power. Jiang Shenwu forced himself to hold on. With the body of a divine dragon that had become extremely weak, he released an endless devouring power that swept towards the surroundings. It was like a black cloud spreading out, turning into waves of black devouring waves that swallowed the 1,000 water ripples. Some of the powers were too far away, so Kong Shinmu could not devour them. But with the water ultimacy power that Kong Shinmu had devoured before, the water ultimacy power contained in his body was enough to kill the woman from the Xueqi tribe in front of him. The opponent's water god phantom was indeed very strong. It was a terrifying energy body. But Kong Shinmu already knew what level of power was needed to break it through continuous testing. It was a power that surpassed the strongest student in the Divine Center District. If the power that Kong Shinmu used was not as strong as that of the woman from the Xueqi tribe, it would be impossible for him to kill her. The water god phantom of the Xueqi tribe was a natural defense method, which was extremely strong. Therefore, the total power that Kong Shinmu devoured was 3 times that of his opponent's full power. After devouring a lot of the opponent's water curse, the water profound meaning power contained in Kong Shinmu's body had reached an extremely terrifying level. Kill! At this moment, Kong Shinmu did not hesitate and launched a counterattack. At this moment, the Xueqi woman finally heaved a sigh of relief when she saw that Kong Shinmu had been sliced into 3 pieces. But then she was puzzled. Could it be that the dragon warrior's companions were just going to watch him die and not come out to restrain her? But just when she was distracted, Kong Shinmu's violent and swift attack swept over like a storm. Countless streams of water profound power condensed into a terrifying water profound saber light that was 3 times stronger than her water ripple slash. It slashed down from above her head. The woman from the Xueqi clan sucked in a breath of cold air. This water ripple slash was the strongest water curse that she had cultivated, but now it was being used by a dragon warrior? How was this possible? The dragon warrior had not inherited the water profound meaning, so how could he use the water profound meaning power? But what appeared in front of her was the truth. She did not even have time to react and defend immediately. Then the huge white saber light that seemed to tear through the sky, which was also the huge water ripple slash, slashed down on the head of her water god phantom. In the next moment, the ripple water slash swept horizontally, and it directly slashed the water god into 2. Moreover, it even slashed the talisman water tribe woman in the center into 2. At this instant, blood flowed like a fountain. After the huge water god phantom was cut into two, it exploded in all directions, turning into boundless water ultimacy power that dispersed into the void. The body of the woman from the Fu Shui clan had been sliced in two and she had lost her life in an instant. Of course, her water god phantom had lost its source of power. At this moment, it dispersed rapidly and turned into the most basic water profound power. Now that Kong Shinmu had the ability to cultivate and support inheritances, Kong Shinmu was not very interested in the water profound meaning inheritance. This was not to say that the power of this inheritance was too weak. Rather, cultivating this power had no effect on increasing the strength of a dragon warrior. It was not like cultivating the void power inheritance of the void human tribe, which could increase his control of spatial power. Therefore, he could not cultivate the water profound meaning inheritance. In reality, the water ripple slash just now was very different from the real water ripple slash. It looked like its power was 3 times that of the woman from the Fu Shui clan, but in reality, its destructive power should only be about 2 times. This was because Kong Shinmu could not completely condense the real water ripple slash. After all, this was a water curse. To Kong Shinmu, as he had not comprehended the water profound meaning inheritance, it was already very good for him to be able to unleash 60 to 70% of its power. If he were to fight against a dragon martial artist, a powerhouse from the demon god tribe, or a powerhouse from the virtual human tribe, Jiang Shenwu would be able to absorb 100% of his demonic skills and the power of his holy void martial technique. This was because he had already cultivated the legacies of these two. In his body, he had the bloodline inheritance of the demon god tribe, which was the blood of the 16-winged heavenly demon god. In addition, he had also cultivated the void power inheritance of the void human tribe. Although it was only for cultivation, he still had some understanding of the void power, and this understanding was enough. Kong Shinmu cut the woman from the Fu Shui clan into 2. After the water god shadow exploded, it left behind a profound heart. The profound heart was the cultivation core of the elemental tribe. To be more specific, the Fu Shui clans was called the water profound heart. There were other tribes that worshipped the fire god, the wood god, and so on. The cultivation core of their bodies was also the profound heart, but the specific names were different. Kong Shinmu kept the profound heart. He definitely couldn't keep it to himself. He wanted to share it with Xiao Yuhua and the others. In this battle, it seemed like he was fighting alone, but in reality, they were secretly restraining him. Otherwise, if the woman from the Fu Shui clan had used her full strength to fight against Kong Shinmu might not have had the chance to unleash the final attack. He was only facing 70% of the woman's strength, and his divine dragon body had already been cut into 3 pieces. If it were anyone else, they would have died. If the woman had attacked with her full strength, he would probably be dead now. This was because Xiao Yuhua and the others were secretly restraining him, so the woman from the Fu Shui clan did not dare to attack Kong Shinmu with her full strength. Let's go. My injuries are too severe. If I meet any more powerhouses now, I really won't be able to deal with them. Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body had already been cut into 3 pieces. When the woman from the Fu Shui clan was killed, Xiao Yuhua and the others hurriedly ran out. They all transformed into their divine dragon forms and hugged the 3 pieces of Kong Shinmu's body. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.